Since today I'm continuing to use Sirenscape. Go ahead and check out our website, thekeeprpg.com, for a full list of the music I have put on there. I think we're pretty well set to just go ahead and jump into our character videos. Let's go ahead, lower the bridge, and raise the gate, because it's time to enter the keep.
Woo! I thought of a different one.
Another one?
I'm a bad person. Come on, sticky hand. You can do it, sticky hand.
How are we doing on Echo?
Like, all right, I'll put it away.
Thank you, because I was about to start making tally marks for how many extra damage points.
Okay, we're on mic, not intros.
Oh.
Each of those pages is a different world. Where the pages lay flat together, a bold character may jump from one page to another and enter a world both similar to and different from their own. The Sanctum, and others of its kind, make that jump safe and stable and leave the door open for that character to return home. The Sanctum is an empathic entity, a sentient being that sustains itself by creating and growing these pathways between worlds. Its extraplanar hub and portals are anchored and guarded by keepers, and fed and sustained through the efforts of runners. It thrives off stories and songs, experiences and impressions unique to the worlds it can access. An isolated Sanctum, unable to reach out and deprived of any interaction, withers to a fragment of its potential and ultimately shrivels to death. This is the situation our heroes have found themselves in. The Sanctum is under attack, and in an effort to hide, Owen, the Sanctum's partner and head keeper, has divided and scattered the journals that hold the Sanctum's accumulated knowledge of other worlds, cutting it off from all outside interaction. Our heroes, runners of the Sanctum, are tasked with finding and returning the lost journals to the Sanctum's hub and restoring it to its full glory. But this task may not be as easy as they hope.
A blacksmith first and a fighter second. Doran Runheim hails from the dwarven citadel of Near de Villiers in the Markheim Mountains. A dwarf of simple pleasures, Doran enjoys smashing things with a hammer, drinking ale, and of course he can be found getting into trouble with his team. The only son of a small family, Doran learned to stand against condescending scions of larger families from an early age, which left him with a long-standing distrust of politics. After a tragic accident in a deep mining shaft, Doran resolved to be skilled enough to protect others, in addition to devoting himself to his family's heritage and craft to try and raise his family's status. In the advancement of that craft, Doran discovered an ability his family had thought lost, the ability to imbue normal items with extraordinary magics. As his family's fortune fell, he set off to spread his family's name and reputation, and to rediscover his heritage.
Raised just outside the elvish city of Tor Elm, the capital of the Wood Elves in the heart of the Mirthwood, Halberd thrived as the second of 4 children. They spent just as much time having adventures in the forest as they did in the city, and Halberd became very familiar with that terrain, especially when moving stealthily to sneak up on his siblings. As a young adult, Halberd and his brother both put their forestry skills to work in the military. They joined the Adskabak, an elite fighting force that worked to defend Mirthwood's borders from all monstrosities and invaders. Shortly after his acceptance into the Adzabak, the love of his life agreed to become his wife and soon gave him 2 beautiful children. Halberd was blissful, but it would not last. His unit was transferred from the standard position to a distant posting. The group was ambushed, betrayed by their own people, and, except for Halberd, entirely wiped out. The sole survivor, Halberd returned to his home only to find devastation there too. A dragon of some kind had arrived and destroyed the town. Halberd's home was gone and his family was murdered. Seeking both answers and vengeance, Halberd bent his skills to infiltrating the government, sowing discord and confusion as he went. It didn't take much to turn elf against elf. As the city fell from within, the dragon returned to destroy it utterly. In his escape to the mountains, Halberd never saw the dragon's form, and thus turned his hate to all dragonkind. He wandered for nearly 200 years, utterly alone in exile, until he rescued a young displacer beast cub from a dragon's lair. Pitying the young orphan, Halberd adopted it and named it Nightbane, and the two travelled together for a few years before being invited into the Sanctum.
The scion of one of the 12 ruling families of his people, Casator grew up as the elder of 2 children. A studious child at heart, he spent long days finding joy in the written word. It was during his studies that he discovered a truth his family had long sought to bury, that they were only relatively new to power and had gained it through somewhat underhanded means. Shocked at the obscuring of his family's history, Casator tried to bring it to light. His parents, and later his entire extended family, shut him down and censored him severely. Faced with this betrayal of his ideals, Casator decided to leave his homeland. In the midst of packing for his journey, he was interrupted by his younger sister, who begged him to allow her to join him. He turned her away on account of her youth, being only 13 years of age. However, he did agree to visit her each year, and in 5 years, on her 18th birthday, she would join him. The yearly visits passed, and the day came, but upon his return on her 18th birthday, Casator found that his sister had disappeared with no trace. Deeply saddened, Casator left his home for good, suspicious that his family knew more of his sister's disappearance than he would admit. Casator journeys now in search of knowledge. Knowledge is power after all, but only for those willing to use it. He quests to find that which is noble and true, and to share it with each culture he passes through, using song and story to influence the world for greater good.
Death is just a part of life, and few have spent more time in its company than Val. When you meet him, his intelligence and cunning are immediately obvious, as is his lack of strength. Born into the mountain tribe of the Kalashtar, his parents left him as a child in order to save his father from a pact with a chaotic deity. He was given to stay with his mother's tribe while his parents were away. However, his mother's people refused to train him as a druid due to his gender, as only females of the tribe were allowed to learn the druidic arts. As a young man, he chose to leave the tribe and explore the world searching for his parents. Unfortunately, not long after his departure, he was captured and taken as a slave by the Inspired, a nation of Dark Kalashtar bent on spreading their influence across all the planes of existence. After a few years, Val was able to escape through a planar gate into the Feywilds. Whilst there, he encountered the goddess Sanine. She took a liking to him and claimed him as her own. A few short months later, Tyrek, a cleric and keeper of the Sanctum, recruited Val as a runner. Tyrek and his sister Liren trained Val as a cleric, and for 2 years, he served the Sanctum. As a cleric, Val is used to taking care of his team, but his sojourns into the realm of death have made it difficult for him to make friends.
If you are a good and true follower of Bahamut, then the sight of the Arbiter and his shining shield will be one of comfort and relief. However, if your so-called faith is nothing more than a heresy for self-profit and position, then you should tremble in fear before the Arbiter and his judgment, and pray you do not meet his axe. Soylex was not always the Arbiter. In fact, his calling into the service of Bahamut took him from his family as an infant. Raised by elders in the cloisters of the grand city of Dragenthrone, the young brass dragon lived a sheltered life. As an acolyte, Soylex learned his lessons well, but his true passion was for physical training and the combative arts. He began to pursue the path of the paladin, taking oaths and dedicating his life in devotion to a more aggressive service of the Platinum Dragon. His plan for his life, however, was forever changed on his 16th birthday, when the archpriest declared Soylex to be the Arbiter, Bahamut's chosen judge. There had not been an Arbiter in over a century, so his sudden appointment was not only a shock to Soylex, but to everyone else as well. Soylex's new duty would include examining the Church of Bahamut itself, rooting out heresy where he found it. Needless to say, Soylex was instantly isolated, removed from his friends, who he might one day have to judge, and held to a different standard than he was used to. He was not only taught how to fight efficiently, but was forced to study until he was able to perfectly recall the laws and sacraments of the church. When his studies were completed, Soyux was sent out on his journey, intending to travel from church to shrine to temple and ensure the Platinum Dragon was being honored appropriately. He didn't make it very far at all before he crossed paths with the Sanctum, once again having his life changed in a way he never expected.
And welcome back. We'll go ahead and we'll jump into a little bit of a recap. Remind us where we picked up. Let's get some mood music for that. So, you arrived in the village of Farendale seeking one of the journals. You discovered that the town was being plagued by a undead spirit called a Rusalka, and that in exchange for the journal held by the youth Xantier, you sort of feel obligated to destroy the undead, to bring peace back to the town. You succeeded in eradicating this the monster in her lair. You returned to the Temple of Bahamut and arrived just in time to witness and participate in a ritual to raise Xantier's younger sister Venera back. And she came back successfully, but different. Charged by Bahamut to be his oracle in the world. Bahamut further made his presence known by passing a message on to Soyux, encouraging him that he walked his path rightly, and putting him on guard that the ancient foe was moving. Bahamut's presence also had a brief visitation through Venera to Halberd, regarding the events of the ritual and reiterating the movement of his most ancient foe. Val had a little bit of an interlude with Sarai. She was not very happy with you. And Doran and Xantier had a conversation, with Doran promising to train Xantier to be able to better protect Venera. Y'all decided at that point that it was wise to go out into the woods, get a little bit of ways away from the town, and sort of resolve the issue that this orb of spell storing that Soyux had been holding on to had been presenting. It wasn't exactly as it appeared. Y'all managed to go into the private sanctum contained within the orb, got yourselves a little bit stuck, but met Avenar, who introduced himself as the librarian and the guardian of this orb, of this seed of power for a baby sanctum. He led you out through a variety of various rooms. You managed to escape safely, all in one piece, only slightly traumatized. And you emerge into the early afternoon. Not much time has passed since you first went into the orb. What would y'all like to do?
About what time of day is it?
Early afternoon.
So,
Well, let's see, what were we trying to accomplish?
that's we had a to-do list.
No, but
Who has the to-do list?
No, the to-do list is what the things we need to do. We're waiting for Ruben should arrive
Tomorrow. Doran has spoken with Xantier about weapons
Speed.
training.
I go.
Right, you head back to the temple to meet up with Xantier.
I think I'm going to see if I can find a replacement for our wayward diamond.
here in town.
Not much better to do at the moment.
Sure, but I'll accompany you on that.
As I'm walking away, good luck with that. Case at all? How would you like to try to go find some sort of magic enchanting shop?
That sounds very interesting.
Alright.
It will prove to be.
In a fairly small port town, it will be very interesting indeed. We'll go ahead and start with Doran.
God, I'm on the spot.
Alright, Doran, you head back to the temple. Xantier is waiting for you in the courtyard.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Are you ready?
believe I am. Are you?
I'm very ready. Yes. The practice fields are back here.
Well, that's perfect. Let's go back there. Where we got room and where we got things we can hit.
You head back.
Assuming they practice them.
In fact, they do. You head back through the temple and emerge into a still fenced in area in the back, but it's open. There are practice dummies sort of set to one side, and one side is roped off for practicing various ranged weapons, but the majority of this area is a larger open area to practice weapons.
Okay. I'll get the Azer hammer out since it's a hammer, and have him. Are the dummies like movable?
You can move them around.
All right, then I set one up so like I have one here and there's another one next to me. So like, I'm like, all right, and you hold it like this, and for I don't know however long we go, like I just line up and I show him, and it's like you bring it up this way, you can block, and have him just follow the motions. Keep your weight here and stances, and just go through all those kinds of motions, and we work on all that kind of stuff. I'm assuming there's like a dwarven hammer kata and teach him that.
You do remember when you were first learning some of the exercises and drills that you went through.
Yes.
Go ahead and make an athletics check for me.
I'm pretty good at athletics. Oh, that's a natural 20.
You're real good at the
Right.
So add
Started
your,
off well.
What's the total? Add your modifier to that.
The modifier is 8. Wait. Yeah, because it's
Yeah. So 28 total. You are exceptionally skilled. You break everything down into its simplest parts, but it's so smooth how you put it together and how one thing flows to another, shifting your weight back and forth through the stances as you're demonstrating this. Xantier, actually. Yeah, that's what I thought. Xantier follows along, and you demonstrate with such skill. He starts picking it up very quickly. He watches how you move and how you shift and how your hands slide and move on the length of
put your weight into it too.
So you start actually getting into fine-tuning some of the body motions as you're working with him for this, and you actually manage to teach him the whole first drill that you have accomplished.
Nice.
Oh.
Impressive. Most impressive.
So you spend the afternoon doing that.
Yay!
Val and Ciliax.
Right. Of course. So, diamonds. Here. You have a guess? 'Cause
To be perfectly honest, I don't expect to find much, but with the timetable that Liren has put us under, I'm not entirely sure that stopping in Grimhold is going to be feasible.
I agree.
So, while I have time to waste, let's waste time looking for a replacement diamond.
Fair enough.
Because between you and I, that was not supposed to work.
No, of course not. Intervention is a wonderful thing.
So that depends on who's doing the intervening and
Fair
how.
enough.
So yeah, just look around for anyone, specifically if there's like an arcane jeweler, but if not, just a jeweler in general.
Okay. Go ahead and make an investigation check. If y'all can each make them, or one of y'all can make it at advantage. If someone wants to take the help action.
I'm slightly above average.
Yep.
Like on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm about a 3 above average.
That's about accurate. Let's just go. Let's see what happens.
Nice.
Ooh, yeah, not great.
19.
Yeah, 11.
Okay.
11.
11!
Freedom! Sorry, somebody had to do it.
Someone had to do it. You spend several hours walking through town. You do not find any arcane jewelers. It's a small port town, and there are lots of sort of variety shops, especially the closer you get to the coastline where the ships come in and out. There's a lot of various odds and ends, bits and bobs. things that have been traded from various places,
Mm-hmm.
and lots of seafood, which seems to be the primary. That was awful.
That's why I'm here.
The dad jokes are strong in this group.
Lots of seafood. As you're walking along and exploring the streets and trying to find this, you're overwhelmed by the scent of fish, and it's not all very fresh. You do not find any shops that are particularly devoted just to jewelry. It seems to be too small of a town for that. But you do find several shops that have various small jewels.
All right. Actually, I'll come back to that. Do I see a harbor master around, or a place where I can find a harbor master?
There does seem to be a lot more activity closer to the central area of the docks. You could probably find someone in authority over there.
All right. So I have an idea. Let's head this way.
Okay.
And then make my way to the... try to find the harbor master.
Okay. Go ahead and make one more investigation check. Just one roll.
Not great. Where's investigation? There it is. 7.
7.
That's not great.
That's not great.
There are lots of people moving around, loading ships, unloading ships. It's a very busy environment. And it's really hard to actually pinpoint who's doing what and what's going where. You have not been in an environment like this before, and so you're just overwhelmed by the busyness of the place.
All right, I'm gonna grab the nearest like sailor type person.
Okay.
And make sure I have this one. I think I do. All right, I'll stop the nearest person. Excuse me. My friend and I are looking for the harbor master, or whoever might be in charge of trade around here. Could you point me in the right direction?
Oh, certainly, I suppose. I mean, you had managed to grab a half-elven gentleman, a little bit, dark skin from the sun, and calluses on his hand from the hard work. He leads you kind of in a circle around a group of people who are working on something right behind him, and about 30 feet away to a man, a large, muscular half-orc who is in an undyed shirt, fairly heavy-duty gear, directing people, currently unloading barrels off of one of the ships.
I'll catch his attention. Excuse me, sir. We're in need of possibly direction towards any of your traders who might be bringing in or sending out shipments of jewels, particularly some of the more rare items.
Right. You're talking to him, and he's in the middle of directing this group of people, and he holds up a hand to you to wait just a moment. And he's directing them, and he's giving them the guidance that they need. And about a minute and a half later, he turns to you, sort of wipes sweat off of his brow. And, all right, what was it you needed?
We're looking for one of your ships that may be bringing in jewels or diamonds. We have some trade that we'd like to do, but doesn't seem that anyone in this town has what we're looking for available.
No. Gems, you're gonna want the Amaranth Coast.
Do we know where that is?
You probably don't. Actually, you might roll a history check.
Oh, sure. Now I roll great. That would be 17.
17. With your experience on this world before, you haven't been there, but you're aware that the Amaranth Coast is a collection of cities, port cities that have this sort of alliance formed between them for shipping various goods, north of Grimhold.
Okay. All right.
The closest we'll get here is a brief stopover or resupply, but most of them will travel the extra 2 or 3 days by boat up towards the coast.
Really? Are there any ships leaving within the next day or so up to that area?
We got one headed out tonight, sure.
That's not gonna help us.
Ooh,
All right. Thank you for your time.
Sure thing.
And
Check back. We have one, it's a bit delayed. It'll be heading up to Amaranth shortly after its stop over here. We'll see when it gets in.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'll toss him a silver.
He catches it. He pockets it.
So my previous statement that
well, let's think about time here. It's from Grimhold to where we need to be is a month or 6 weeks. Grimhold to
the Beholder Lair. That was 4 weeks.
That's a month, right?
Right.
Yeah, just about.
And it was going to take us a week to get to Grimhold.
Right.
But by boat, we could get there faster.
Right, but how long do you think it'll take us from here or to the Beholder Lair?
Well, if we go by boat up towards Grimhold Way, maybe get off a little early.
But my question is, if we leave straight from here to Beholder, that should also take about a month, right? Albert has the map. We need to find Albert.
Yeah, I don't have the map either.
But no, if we can possibly boats, if that's a faster route that we haven't considered yet, maybe worth considering. But
honestly, though, if we're going to do this right, I think we need to stop by Cedar Grove first. Check in with our keeper. And
I agree. I think that'll do us good to look at the map and see about routes. So let's go find Albert.
I'm going to make one quick pit stop into the shop just to see if maybe they have a collection of jewels we can use in the meantime. Go to that shop you were talking about.
Okay. You go in. It's a fairly standard shop. With your previous investigation check, you had found that they have a very small collection of gems. There's 2 diamonds in there that are worth 25 gold apiece.
Not really going to help us that much, is it?
Not really, no.
All right. We'll go find Halbert.
All right. Halbert and Kazator, while they have been doing this, they have spent their hours. What are y'all accomplishing?
Potentially nothing or potentially everything.
All right. What are you doing?
I'm hoping to find some sort of shop, maybe to either general wares or some sort of enchantment or weapon shop, anything like that, just to see what type of ammunition they might have, or also to check out for a poisonous kit. So, general store would probably be something I keep my eyes out for, but specifically an enchanter's shop.
Go ahead and make an investigation check for the enchanting in particular. General stores are fairly easy to find. There are a number of them, especially closer to the port.
Just me, or is Kazator making one too?
Is Kazator
I'm good at helping. I'm good at
y'all...
helping people, so I will help you. And I'll also just sing to you something like "One way or another, we're gonna find it." And that's like 4 seconds. So I'm gonna stop. That's D8.
Alright. Advantage plus a D8.
Well, how long does inspiration last?
10 minutes?
10 minutes. And I get it back in short rest.
Might as well.
Yeah, might as well. Oh, yeah. 22.
22. Alright. There is no shop specializing in enchantment in particular. This is too small a town. It doesn't seem really able to sustain that. There's not enough market for it, or wealthy enough patronage to make it worth it. But there are, you do find a general store that does seem to contain a couple of magical items. Nothing huge. but a couple seem marketed specifically towards adventurers.
I don't think it quite has what I'm looking for, but would you be interested? Just to
Might as
maybe
well take a look.
Okay.
lead on, good sir.
What?
All right, so you find the shop. You head in. There is a human woman manning the counter. Hello, good sirs. What can I do for you today?
I'm curious. I've got my eyes out for just a kit, basic. I mean, I don't guess there's a medicinal kit or a poisonous kit or anything like that. I've been working out in the forest and trying to collect samples and things like that.
There's also a herbalism kit.
There's
Albert.
that. That is a good idea. I'm just looking for anything to restock some of my goods which I've lost along the way.
Certainly, we definitely have access to an herbalist kit here. We have two, in fact. One is slightly expanded. We charge 7 gold pieces for that, and then we have the standard also, which is 5 gold pieces. If you're dealing more with dangerous toxins, we don't have anything of that here. Go ahead and make a charisma check.
I'm scared.
Be charming.
Nope.
We'll see how charming you actually
I'm
are.
not charming at all. That's a 4.
We don't happen to
sad.
carry anything of that nature.
Nothing at all. All right.
I'll lean in, wink, and say, "Are you certain?"
Go ahead and make a
This is
persuasion check
my-
at disadvantage.
That is fair.
Can I sing to him?
Persuasion at disadvantage.
You can't.
14.
14. Yes, I'm quite certain. Thank you.
Do I think she's telling the truth?
Make an insight check.
This is gonna be alright.
No, I think she's telling the truth.
She does seem generally honest.
All right.
Okay, Storm, what do I think she's telling me?
Exactly.
Oh man, I just had to ask. I'm learning. What about those? Looking at the items on the shelf, you said there are magical items present. What do they look like they are? Just off basic. Would it be something I would be interested in?
What are you interested in?
It depends on what they are. If it looks cool, maybe. If it doesn't look cool, probably not.
Let me.
Like,
Fair.
if it's like a little bubbly dinosaur, like a travel pack deal, like people put on the wind visors, I'd be interested in
The
that.
little pills that you drop in the water and it expands into a T-Rex.
Yeah, something like that. That would be
But then
intriguing.
it's a real T-Rex because magic and D&D.
It might be
No, let's not summon a real T-Rex.
a real T-Rex that's
There's like
small. It's a small
it's
real
like a-
T-Rex.
There's a whole
T-Rex.
movie. There's an
Rex
entire
Day.
movie series dedicated to why we
why
do
that's
not
a bad
resurrect
idea.
dinosaurs. But it's like a copyrighted pocket monster creature that fights for you.
Wow.
I mean,
You gotta find them all.
Does it look something like this for part of it? You know, it's nice small.
Yeah, it lives in an orb. That's
An orb of
half
holding.
and half color. Yeah.
Do you choose
an
it?
orb
it
of
like-
wondrous power.
An orb of wondrous
All the
power.
jokes forever.
Oh man, okay.
Like a pineapple.
Speaking of magical items, there are 2 arrows that are set behind a glass case. They look like fairly typical arrows, but the fletching on them is not any sort of feather that you have seen before. It's an odd material, and it is a bright blue. Beside the arrows, you see something that is labeled as a decanter, a magical decanter, and speak to the shop owner for further information. And then there is an orb that is a little crystal ball almost.
We must have it.
Is labeled
think
as
that's
a
not.
drift globe.
Let's go.
Would I know what that is?
Make an Arcana check.
Okay, Sator. Do you know what
It sounds it.
Do you know what this might be? I'm feeling rather dumb right now.
It does seem to be magic, and I am good at that.
It adjusts the DC. If someone wants to make a roll, y'all can make a roll to figure out if you know what it is. Or you could just ask.
I'm gonna go ask.
We like to do things the hard way.
No. I just wanted to know if I knew. Ma'am, I'm curious over here behind the glass. I'm an archer, if you will. I act like I know what I'm doing sometimes.
The arrows have caught your attention.
They might have indeed. So, and the violin, the weird little round thing.
Oh, the drift globe.
Yes.
The drift globe provides light as you go into dark places.
Oh, I'll pull out my hooded lantern and pull it up. Kind of like this.
Indeed, but it follows you and you don't have to hold it. It keeps your hands free in case you may perchance be entering a certain more dangerous environment.
That's kind of handy.
Casator,
Yes.
Not at all.
does the newest member of our party see well at night, do you think?
I hate you so much right now.
I don't think so.
Now, what about the arrows? I'm not familiar with this.
Oh, these are special from Grimhold. We had them ordered specifically for us.
Oh.
These happen to be enchanted with sleep. You're familiar with the magical spell, I'm sure.
I'm familiar with sleep every night. It is magical.
Actually, you're a no.
Yeah.
You're not.
You're not familiar with sleep at all.
No.
I was thinking it, just didn't want to be that dumb. And everyone else did it for me.
I was gonna say, that's
Yes,
kill us for.
that's what we are for.
Love you guys.
How much are you charging for the arrows?
They're 30 gold pieces each.
And what's the vial?
It happens to be a decanter of endless water. We had it identified fairly recently, actually. It seems to be relatively valuable. I'm not quite certain that our price is sufficient, but we're willing to part with it if you have the funds.
What does it do?
She takes it out.
Can I flood a room with it?
She unstoppers it. It shakes it so you can hear the water sloshing around with it, and then starts pouring it out, and holds it,
Just
and
on
holds
the
it,
floor.
and holds it,
Might
and holds
I?
it. And there's water continuously just pouring out of this. You see
I
now,
just want to put my hand underneath and catch some.
it's water. It's certainly wet. Not even going to make you roll for that one. It is water.
It is water. That's the
You
thing
do
I'm
see
wanting to
now
know.
there is a slight slope to the floor, and it looks like a hole has been hammered in the wall a little bit to provide a drain for this.
You've had this for a little while.
The last 3 or 4 weeks or so, it's been quite a novelty item.
I can imagine. I can definitely imagine that.
It's novel for sure, but water is so abundant. How useful is it really?
Very, my friend, very.
I do
Okay,
agree
thanks,
with your
Alfred.
friend.
You're good at negotiating.
The ability to produce water anywhere. There seems to be a certain variety in the effects it can produce. It can produce a smaller amount, and it can do this multiple times a day. It can produce a slightly larger amount, and less frequently it can do that. And then it seems once per day it can produce a massive amount of water. It's quite interesting, actually.
Are you sure you're not just pulling it from the ocean over there?
The ocean could spare, but taste it. It's fresh water, not salt.
So it's a purifier for salt water.
With my knowledge of plane connections and Arcana in general, would I know that this is pulling from the plane of water?
Make an Arcana check.
That's not great. 10.
10? You're not sure. It seems like a valid guess, but you're not familiar enough with this particular item to say with certainty.
Okay.
I do hesitate, but what exactly are you in the market for?
Well, I'm very interested in the arrows, the orb. How much are you asking for that?
Oh, the drift globe?
The drift
Oh,
globe.
a mere 700 gold pieces.
Oh, merely. Intriguing. I'm rather curious now about the entire eternal water.
Oh, it's quite fascinating. We're waiting for the correct buyer. We're marketing it, well, we were told with the right market we might get as much as 100,000 gold pieces. We're waiting for someone, we're hoping more for the market of 80,000.
That seems intriguing.
I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
I'm gonna poof Jojo and say, what about a trade for a magical pet?
He's gonna get us kicked out of this town.
Every town.
Make
I mean,
make a persuasion check.
Okay.
Make it a disadvantage because you'll have not inspired much faith in her at this point.
All right. Yeah. 23 at disadvantage.
Dang.
Impressive.
I rolled a 14 and a 15 with a +9.
I do happen to be interested. There are several people who'd be, perhaps fascinated with such a magical creature. What is the command word?
Yeah, boy.
She, very well. Here, boy.
I'll tell him telepathically to go over to her.
He, in his lizard form, scurries over to her. Oh, that doesn't seem exceptionally magical.
Except it
I
just
will.
appeared because it
Oh
wasn't
no!
before.
See, now Jordan wants to be deceptive, but Quesador has back. He doesn't want to.
I just
He is a creature inhabited by a fey spirit that I can make him any form that you desire, be it a small one, and I don't believe I can transfer the ability to change his shape to the owner.
Interesting.
But he's pretty cool, and he listens very well.
I do see that. This is interesting. Do let me think on it. I will speak to my partner tonight to see if we are in fact capable of holding such a thing until the sale occurs. Will you be in town tomorrow?
We shall.
Excellent. Do return, please.
Wait.
At that time, we may speak of the value of such a creature and perhaps deduct it from the cost of the item you seek.
That sounds amicable.
what would you say? I don't have the card with me. With the orb, I do believe I'm interested in the arrows for sure, but I'll be curious about if you'd be interested in a trade.
Oh, perhaps. You have a novelty item for sale.
I have a. Actually, I don't know. That's the thing.
What are you thinking of?
I have to go back through my inventory because I did have something, but I don't have my inventory cards because we never have found those yet. So
They're here somewhere.
I know they are. So I might have to come back later and work that out.
Well, certainly if you'd like to return with your friend tomorrow.
But I am interested in the 2 arrows.
Certainly. 30 gold pieces each.
You can do that.
Oh. She takes you over to...
Would you be able to point me in the right direction in regards to someone who might deal in toxins?
Unfortunately not. As I said, we do not carry anything of that nature here, and I'm sure I wouldn't know any unscrupulous folk who might deal with that.
Unscrupulous?
Poisons and toxins, indeed.
You do understand that there are such things as poisonous snakes and fish, and you can be a fisherman and very above board and deal with those things.
Oh, absolutely. The fish themselves are quite fine. The working with the poisons within, well, there are very few amicable reasons to do so.
like vaccinations.
Here they work wonders for numbing things medicinally.
Well, I was just thinking about when we helped an entire population with antitoxins because we collected snakes' venom. What a horrific work that they have done. I'm
Oh,
very,
indeed.
very grateful.
If you're speaking of a more
Definitely
healer's
that
kit,
was,
absolutely, or herbalism, in fact, alchemy even. But to distill items and truly create poisons.
To take poisons, not to distill.
Oh, well,
But-
in fact, then, rather than asking around for such a poisons kit, you may request more of a healer's kit, or, as I said, herbalism or alchemy.
Mean anything within? Do you have anything such as that? Something with snake's venom or some of the fish venom? I'm sure there is some in this area.
Not currently. There's not much market here, you understand, for that type of item itself. As I said, the kits and the items to work with such ingredients, shall we say, I can provide. Are you interested in perhaps those healer's kits I mentioned?
I have kits. I need the items for the kit. Is what I'm looking for.
Unfortunately, I do not carry those.
That is
You said you wanted the
very
arrows.
fair. I do. I would very much
Right
appreciate
this way,
that.
sir.
Thank you so much, madam.
So she leads you over to the counter. She grabs the key for the sleep arrows. That will be 60 gold in total.
Yeah, why not?
All right. You pass over the gold, and she unlocks the case with the 2 arrows, and you have 2 sleep arrows.
Any stuff is expensive, y'all.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Just what I noticed. The medallion that I have. Does it only work on living creatures?
Oh my goodness.
Have you tried
I have
non-living
not.
creatures or other objects? Actually, you've attuned to it. You know it's creatures
Cool.
specifically.
Good deal. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm good, Kestrel. Thank you, madam. I appreciate your time. And if you happen to know of anything, I am looking for some stuff for antitoxins and using and distilling the venom. So if we come back around and you might happen to have some, I'd appreciate knowing that.
I will certainly keep you in mind.
Apologize
She
for
smiles very
misunderstanding.
professionally.
I smile very professionally back.
Is there any further business you wish to accomplish?
Not at this moment.
I did happen to think if I were to trade you this pet and try to summon one later, this pet would disappear. So that's probably not a good thing. My apologies. An oversight in my mind. But I appreciate your willingness to consider the initial offer.
I do have.
Sir, I do thank you for the education. You have a pleasant day.
Madam, one question. Do you know of a man named Reuben? Brother Reuben.
Oh, with the Brotherhood. In fact, I do. He has come around town, twice the last year or so.
Not that often?
Not often, no. Or at least not that I've noticed. I'm sure others may have business with him. I do not.
The tone in her voice, is it
Make an insight check.
condescending? 14.
14?
15, sorry.
15. It's not necessarily condescending. It's, or at least not towards Reuben. She doesn't seem to hold a high opinion of those who do deal with the Brotherhood.
Might I ask, what do you know about the fellow?
Not much. Older human man, he does favors for people occasionally. He travels frequently.
What does he get in return for these favors?
I'm sure, I don't know.
I'm just concerned because I have a friend, a young friend who's supposed to meet with him, but I would like to know some of his intentions.
I'm sure Reuben will do his business and leave, as he has done before.
Appreciate that. I figured if anyone might know, it would be someone who deals in business and interacts with people on a regular basis. So I appreciate the insight. How long does he stick around normally? I will be on my way.
Not long. As I said, he tends to do his business and leave. I will say, he does tend to bring gifts for those who aid him.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, madam, and for the information. I'll put a silver piece on the table, give him a nod and a bow, and walk out the door.
As the silver comes out, you see her relax just a little bit. She reaches out and pulls it and puts it away. Have an excellent day.
You as well.
And just restores the door. So you'll head on out, and you were wanting to meet up with them for the map.
Right, as we were walking to find him, I will pull up the orb and she'll, well, I had hoped that this would help me in storing spells to later use in combat, but since it does absolutely nothing for what I was hoping for, and knowing your affinity for sanctums, you want this?
Sure.
Perfect. There you go. I'll give him the orb sanctum thing because I have no need for it, and he actually found it interesting. So,
an item that I can actually attune to?
there, you have the orb of sanctums.
It's going to take a while to attune to it, but still. Rock on.
Sometimes. Fairly quickly, you'll meet up with Halberd and Kazator.
Wonderful. Halberd! You still have that map on you, correct?
I very much do.
Wonderful. So, the thought came to us while on the harbor of sailing to attempt to reduce time to the Beholder's lair. We know it takes a month to go from Grimhold to the Beholder. We weren't sure if sailing north and then cutting would save off any time, if it might just be faster to go.
What was the name of that town?
The Amaranth
Amaranth Coast.
Amaranth Coast?
And you know that that's a region?
Yeah.
And you would have heard of the region before. There are a number of cities that comprise this.
Is it on on this continent or
If it's
on this
north.
continent, north of Grimhold.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's going to be right up there.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too.
where?
I'm going to confer with you, Sully, because I believe, because Grimhold's right here, I'm guessing it's right up there.
There or that inlet?
Like this region here.
Okay, so yeah, this whole sort of
So here's my thought process with that is if we catch the tides and the winds right, depending on seasons and how this world operates, we might be able to make it up, but we'd have to cross a mountain range, potentially two, just to get across in time. Now, we might be able to save time because I do believe there's a river that we crossed over that we might be able to travel down all the way to, but I don't know if it connects, and I'd really have to check in with some other folks.
Well,
some of the
given your
navigators.
knowledge of maps, how long would you say it would take us to go from Farendale to the Beholder Lair? Because we know it takes about a month or so.
Based on my travels, my use with maps, and the experience that I've had.
Make a survival check.
No. It's gonna be a 15.
15. Going north to Grimhold, looking at the map, you knew that was about a week, and cutting through from there to the Beholder Lair, you know, is about 4 weeks. Looking at the land between the lakes, which is the region you'd have to pass through if you wanted to go south of the Palisades there, and knowing that this region itself is easier to traverse, you'd guess you could probably make it with good weather and being able to ford or ferry over the rivers quickly, probably in about a month.
So, from Farendale to the Beholder Lair is a month.
About.
Equivalent to Grimhold. So, really sailing north wouldn't save us any time.
Not that much, no.
Well, it would shave a week off.
But it wouldn't lose us
But
any
if
time,
we
and we
just
could visit the
avoid
city that
Grimhold.
Val wants to go to.
Yes, I'm saying if we were to sail up and bypass Grimhold entirely, she just said it would take us a month. instead of
No,
a week up
no,
and a month across.
it'll take a month to go directly from Farendale, where we're at right now, to the Beholder Lair.
And sorry, I'm apparently missing from the Amaranth Coast
Mhm.
to the Beholder Lair.
From the Amaranth Coast, you'd have to come back south to Grimhold.
I couldn't just cross over the
or
mountains.
You could cross over the mountains. You would not be able to use the horses past a certain point up the mountains. You'd be going on foot, and none of y'all are really proficient in that sort of terrain. It would take considerably longer.
That's what I thought. Just wanted to double check.
So we may be better off just heading off straight from here and avoiding Grimhold altogether. Unfortunately.
I think it would be best to go through Cedar Grove
Mountains.
and check in with our keeper before making another decision.
It is a fairly direct route from Farendale to the Beholders, passing through Cedar Grove. It's not too much out of the way.
Correct. So once we meet up again with Dorn, get his ideas, and then after dealing with the Brotherhood tomorrow.
Ideally, I would like to deal and then at least get a jump start on our travels tomorrow. Hopefully, he comes in the morning.
That would be convenient. What on this journey has been convenient thus far?
Yep, you're right.
I love how once again I picked a task to do where I sequester myself away from everyone else.
Yeah, he started his session was Dorn going, bye, and I go away.
Yeah.
All right, well, then.
At least you're not alone this time.
This is true.
Let's go find.
Batman's got his Robin.
Let's go find the dwarf. What do you think about Halberd?
I'm wanting to kind of go a little bit off script at the moment.
Because we script this whole thing.
Yeah, it's off this script. The storekeeper made a comment about some of the more unscrupulous parts of town.
Okay. Meaning?
I would like to be able to get some restocking on my medicinal kit and my herbalism kit and my poisonous kit, toxins.
Fair enough.
And she said that there were some unscrupulous parts, and I feel like a game of 3 Dragon Ante sounds pretty good.
Well, I do not do well in unscrupulous areas. I tend to stand out.
Which is why it might be really fun to have you come.
Oh dear. Well,
yeah, the arbiter.
I know I'm not there,
but
sweating bullet. Jay is all about this.
Well,
I mean, we've got time.
Right.
And in the process, if we don't get what I need, we might be able to fulfill something that you need.
Do you know what? What
was
purpose could I?
You mean the one on Drury Lane?
Do you happen to know what you would need me there for, or what?
I just,
into?
depending on the situation, muscle is always a good thing to have around. It kind of legitimizes certain people in positions.
I feel like the dwarf would also be a good.
Exactly, that's why we're going to find him too.
I feel like the one risk that we may be taking in all this, aside from the obvious, is that we end up in what I'm about to tell you.
In no way but good.
Is that we risk being detained in one form or another, whether by law or by health, when we need to meet with our Brotherhood friend tomorrow.
Do you think my presence there will aid you?
I don't think it would harm me.
Okay.
I feel like you're looking for more of a distraction than anything.
Back up just in case something were to go absolutely right.
Let's go find the dwarf, and then we can discuss this further as we go.
I'm absolutely all right with that.
Okay.
Case at all? I think
Yes.
we must prepare for an adventure. And if that means we must get them outrageously wasted, and to do so, bring on the ale.
We go find the
Star
door.
wide. Diddly diddly doo.
You know exactly where the dwarf is at.
While we're walking,
Yes.
could I keep eyes open for any type of signs or symbols, like a thieves guild or thieves, because of thieves can't.
Make a perception check.
Roguey rogue. I can't do nothing. Save my life. That's an 11.
11.
11.
You're walking, but there doesn't seem to be anything in the main streets. Nothing, no markings that you see, nothing extremely visible at this point.
Dark alleyways.
Sure. As it's getting into the evening hours, and you'll have spent your afternoon accomplishing your various tasks, you head back to the Temple of Bahamut. You meet up with Doran after he has finished his lesson with Xantier.
Is Lyran around anywhere that we see?
Lyran?
Or not Lyran, sorry.
If Lyran's around, this is going way easy.
Right. Sorry.
What he just did is ask the right question. And she walks around the corner. What
did you ask?
Where were you guys? I'm looking for y'all.
Sorry, I'm blind. I can't tell where I'm going.
No, I should have taken that left in Albuquerque.
You do not see Lyran. As you go through the temple into the practice yards, you do not see Sarai at this point either.
Okay, good, because I really don't feel like being slapped again.
Definitely outside the temple. You'll have fun in there. It's not safe.
Right, so Doran is done training?
Doran is done training with Xantier.
Wonderful. Doran! You'll never believe what Halford wants to do. Xantier's not like around, is he?
We'll say that you have finished the lesson and sent him away to stretch and cool down and
go get you some rest, a good meal. You know, have a good night.
thank you for the lesson.
You're very welcome.
I'm gonna go get a bath.
That's it.
And he starts walking away.
The stronger you get, the stronger you smell.
And y'all are just leaving that without comments.
Yep.
Moving on.
Alright, so now I found Doran. So Albert has it in his mind. He's attempting to find the scrupulous underbelly of this town. And so he would like you and me to come along as, and I quote, the muscle.
I mean, that's not a bad descriptor, but why are we doing this? For what reason? I mean, that's great, but
the important thing is he won't come into the temple to talk to you, so we're gonna have to go outside to talk to him.
Let's go.
I think he got scared.
I mean, did Bahamut shoot him with magic dragon lightning or something?
I don't know. I think he talked to a child. Anyways,
that's gonna be terrifying.
I mean, that's, you know.
Okay, nope, let's go find him.
Walk, walk, walk.
What time is it?
Dude, it's stuck
So,
in my head.
Sully gets about 10 feet. Wait for me, I have little legs.
Early evening, probably hour before sunset.
Albert, I found the dwarf.
I am so excited.
So, what are you wanting us for? What are we doing?
There's a two-part deal that I'm thinking about. One, I know that there's apparently some sort of underworld over here. People in the business realm don't like to think or talk about it so much.
Said something about that.
There are some things I think would be beneficial to replenish in my stock, in my stash. But on top of that, one of the things that I've noticed is every single person who's in some form of legitimate business within this city does not feel comfortable with the Brotherhood. But if we were to go someplace where people are already more comfortable in a darker element, we might be able to actually get a bit more information and potentially get some insight into the person we're meeting with, just so we don't leave anything unchecked before they arrive. I don't care to be taken by surprise.
That's actually a valid. You made a valid point.
You know,
that one, but that's a good point.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And what are we meant to do?
I think just getting into a couple of games, interacting. I can be rather good at games sometimes. especially games regarding dragons. And I know that you have strong resolution whenever it comes to holding ale, so you can go toe to toe in dialogue, while other people might become less than level-headed. Both of y'all and y'all are excellent companions in a fight. And I've got two other friends, between Casator and Val, who are excellent at being able to pick up on, see, and understand magic and the things that surround it, and pick up on body language and signs. I think we might actually be able to gain some information, potentially increase our purse, and possibly make acquaintances with another group which might be able to help us on our quest.
You want to go full Vegas in the underbelly of this backwater town?
I'm telling you what.
Fantasy Vegas.
I'm about it.
Support town.
And if because I also understand that
He was so
the underworld also oftentimes has more information regarding Bahamut's enemies, whom they're more comfortable with. We might be able to gain information there, or if not, and if all comes to naught, we could at least allow the Arbiter to potentially do some work
You ready to preach the good word?
with an axe.
Right. Now, everything was tracking real good until you got to, let's say that we do find some of our enemies down there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to want to open up to me.
Is there any way to cast illusion on your shield?
Not really, no.
That's not accurate.
Okay, then.
There also might be spells that can be used to
Or
loosen the tongue.
you might have
Fair enough.
killed a follower of Bahamut with that shield.
The shield's kind of a one-of-a-kind piece. It's a little known.
I mean,
That's fair.
perhaps I'm being a wee simple here, but
I could put
we
it
not
in the
wrap it
bag.
with something?
I could just put the shield in the bag.
I kind of like the idea of you having it if you need it.
maybe we could wrap it in
Oh,
something.
I mean,
Yeah, that's fair. Putting it in a bag, wrapping it in something, making it look like something else, I don't really care. But I just think that we could potentially have some fun.
Of course.
Keep it strapped
could
to your back for a
also-
while. Put a cloak on.
That's actually exactly what I was thinking, was
We don't have to make it complicated.
similar to the way I store my shield.
okay. Right, yeah.
Turtle shell. Turtle shell.
So, if we're going to do this, I mean, the idea of getting more information is good. So, if we're going to do it, let's go ahead and do this. So, Lauren, I'm going to strap the shield to my back,
Okay.
and I'm going to pull out another axe that I have in the bag of holding,
Okay.
and I'm going to carry 2 axes instead.
Okay. So your AC has gone down to 18 from 20.
Yep.
And you are dual wielding.
I have 2 axes.
I'm going to put Nightbane inside the medallion,
All right.
just so we have an ace in the hole, so to speak.
Sounds like a plan. Are y'all heading out?
This is a terrible plan.
I'm so excited for this.
This is a terrible plan.
I love this.
I take time to put JoJo in any particular form.
Something,
It depends on how quickly you'll want to head out. You've got about
Right.
an hour until sunset.
This is your world. What's the plan here?
This is whose world?
Well, no, the underbelly is
Oh.
his.
This is your world.
This is his domain.
Yes, there you go.
the underworld is Doran's domain. Back alleyways, hey, underneath the world, your tunnels and mountains and caves.
Do we look like a Delagar to you?
You
Would
look
it be
pretty
better to
boss
have
of
him do
beast as a
something
miner.
small and out of sight, like a lizard, or something more interesting or intimidating, like a hawk on my shoulder?
A lizard would be
Or a
just
snake.
fine. 'Cause
What?
I think it would be better to go ahead and start finding it now.
Okay.
Gonna reach in my bag and pull out this box that's got this hood over it.
Whose head do you have in there?
That's not important at the moment. The question that is important is when things get dark outside, how effective are you in a fight?
I mean, it's not my greatest advantage. but
Exactly. There's a gift. I'm gonna give you. Keep it well. It's a hooded lantern.
Got you. Okay, I was sitting there going,
Oh no, trust me.
did you just give me a head?
No. But I might ask you to hold on to something else later. All right?
All right.
All right. Don't ask questions.
All right.
Just say yes.
There are so many questions.
Just say yes.
What other preparations do y'all want to make? Or are y'all good to go ahead and head out?
Just to myself, I'm just gonna say a little prayer to Morgan, just because I'm scared. Like as a person, Doran was meant to be an NPC, and he got pushed into the adventure life. He's reservant about going to scary things.
Nice.
As just a quick word of warning, I don't have all that much magic I can use today.
Okay, sword and shield.
I'm aware, and I do have some magic that I can use. Just my more powerful spells have been expended for the day.
You got the healing in the background. That's the important thing.
Yep.
That's what we need. Cool. I'd like to start looking for a series of maybe the rougher side of town.
You just want to
I'm
wander
gonna
the streets and start looking for
No,
it?
I'm going to start heading towards some of the bars, but not the nicest of ones.
Okay.
And I would like to keep my eyes open for anything like a thieves guild or any type of maybe markings that designate a specific area.
Okay. You've already spent a little bit of time wandering around town. You're starting to get a feel for how it's laid out. So go ahead and roll an investigation check with advantage.
You've got to do something.
I can't roll on the table, you told me.
Here, hang on. That's these dice. Humana.
If I were rolling on the table, I would have had 3 nat 20s already. That is going to be a 14, unfortunately.
14.
Not bad. Much better than you.
For those who can't see, that was just a 3.
There you go. It's just upside down. That's the problem.
Okay, so 14. It takes you a little bit of time. About an hour past sunset, you start finding, getting yourself less turned around and finding the sort of venue that you're actually looking for. Eventually, you settle on a sort of tucked out of the way, off of the beaten path. There are a couple of dive bars that you feel might have potential.
Which one looks worse?
Between the Iron Tooth and the Steel Manticore, they're about the same.
I mean, Manticore does have a certain
Doran?
ring to it.
Okay. On the count of 3, I want you to tell me your favorite metal. 1, 2, 3. You fail.
I wasn't ready.
1,
Iron.
2. All right. Iron Tooth.
Alright, so you head into the Iron Tooth.
Let's go find some cavities.
And it is a darkly lit, not very clean bar. There's a strong scent of alcohol and unwashed bodies and filth and vomit. And the walls themselves are paneled with wood, but stay suspiciously dark in a couple of places towards the bottom. There are half a dozen tables scattered around, a couple of booths line the walls, and it's about half full. There's a wide variety of patrons, mostly men, but a couple of rough-looking ladies also holding their own. The biggest thing that you notice is there seems to be a dice game that 3 people are playing, and a small crowd is gathered around.
Now.
You get it, dice. I'm gonna go to Celix.
Yes.
How much silver do we have?
Silver? Specifically silver. We have 18 pieces of silver.
I'll switch you to gold and take those silver.
Okay.
It's gonna be fun. I've got 10 pieces myself, so
Are you any good?
we can do dice.
I just want to go around. I want to stand and watch. Doran, if you want to get just a round of drinks, and then I think I'll take Val and myself, and we'll just go watch the game. Casator, if you want to watch as well.
Indeed.
Casator is casing the place.
Basically,
Right.
just want to see what the bids are, what the currency they're running, if it's silver, copper, or what it's looking like.
The game that most people seem to be watching seems to be running mostly in gold, a little bit of silver thrown in. Now that you're entering in, you can get a little bit of a better view into some of the booths. Your perception is 19, so you'd be able to see some of the other games that aren't as well watched seem to be dealing more with copper and silver. They're less exciting, but it seems to be this is one of the preferred gambling places, at least tonight.
I'm gonna go play bodyguard for Gaystor because he seems the most out of place here, as far as fancy dress.
Yeah.
Shall we split from two different paths or take it together?
I would like to be close enough. One of us plays, one of us listens or keeps tabs at first.
I think you have the higher.
But is some of the smaller games, we don't necessarily need a lot of attention at the moment.
All right, I'm gonna find the closest smaller game to the big game.
Okay. Probably about 2 tables away. There's one in progress.
I'm gonna join that one.
Is it dice?
Okay.
It is.
As you approach, they seem to be playing a game. You are familiar with this as 38s.
Okay, this should be fun.
We'll go ahead and jump in, and we'll actually start with you.
Oh, okay.
Because you're the first one jumping into this game. This is fun.
I was not expecting to go gambling today. Let's do this.
You approach the table, and as you move to sit down, one of the gamers looks up to you. Buy-ins of silver.
I'll take my bag that I've got my silver in and drop it on the table. Pull out a silver and toss it in the pot.
All right. So here's how this goes. Because this is not something you've ever seen played before on this world, but it is sort of universally popular. 38s, everyone antes in, and then you take your d20 and you roll it. You hide it, but you do a round of betting, raise, call, fold. Next round, you roll a d12. You keep that secret also. Another round of betting. And then last round, everyone rolls a d6. 38 beats everything, followed by 38, 3, and then after that, highest number wins. Make sense?
Yeah.
So 38, 3 is the next one.
Yep.
So pretty much max die, all natural ones.
And then
highest.
Getting my dice ready here.
How many people are at that gaming table?
It is 2 others and Val. Copper buy-in. All right. They go ahead and.
That was a silver buy-in.
Sorry, yes, silver buy-in.
They have a discount. You know what? Let's use them.
That was not what I wanted.
You said D6, D12, and D20, right?
D6, D12, D20.
Got it.
Go ahead. Roll your D20. bounce around the floor. Not that mess, because I'm a klutz. Right. So you see them and they look, here we go. Need appropriate music for this.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. How's this one?
I guess I went to the bar to get it around.
While you start the game, at the bar,
So I get for saying something.
you do.
Haven't you found out that you and bars don't do well? Or do very well, depending on how you look at it?
There's
A gentleman doesn't tell.
a portly human man behind the bar. You ask about the price of ale.
Mhm.
He says, it's about 2 silver if you want a gallon to take to your table. Otherwise, 4 copper a mug.
This is Garrett not knowing the exchange rate for how money do in this game. It's everything is like 2 to the next level, like 2
10.
so 10.
10 copper per silver, 10
yeah.
silver per gold.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I don't know, man. That's why I'm trying to remember more things. I didn't know to add stuff to damage rolls
It's
last
okay.
time.
It's a good
Okay.
game. We all learn.
I'll just take mugs.
Okay. So you get a round of mugs for you, and do you want to just the one for you, or are you providing it for all of your friends also?
I'll do one for everybody.
Okay. 5 mugs is going to be
And I only have gold, so
20 copper.
yeah,
That's 2 silver.
yeah. So that's
You can get 5 rounds for a gold.
Keep them coming, dwarf friend.
yeah. I guess I'll do that. I'll lay down a gold and just start the drinking times.
Right. Well, we got a wealthy one here. I'll keep it coming for you. He grins. While you are speaking of that,
This is a
back at
bad
the game,
place.
the others sort of share a glance at each other, trying to figure out how they're doing. They know you get the feeling they know each other pretty well, and this is they're judging more based on the tells that the other people have.
Fair enough.
Make a deception check
Ooh.
versus their insight.
Own it.
Let's go. No, I can't do that. Never mind, that would be bad. Oh wait, okay. Can I guidance myself?
If you want to take the 6 seconds to say a little prayer, and
I will. I'll act like I'm praying and asking for my lady's blessing. Please bless this game. Oh, and I cast guidance.
they share a glance at each other.
And you said deception, right?
Deception.
Oh, not bad. Okay, and then and D4. Really creepy music. I'm not okay with that.
Well, I mean, y'all are in a kind of creepy little bar.
So
It's not a cheerful little tavern
Gross
scene.
stains on the wall.
Exactly.
right.
I feel like I need a black light.
Oh, you don't want one.
No,
You
I
don't
really
want
don't.
one.
I just don't
So
want to touch
18
them.
minus 1 because I don't have charisma, and then plus 3. So 17 plus 3, so modified 20.
Modified 20. All right. One of them sends a sharp look your way, and then looks at the other. I'll raise another silver. He tosses it onto the table.
So while they're in their bedding, I'd like to just quietly and sneakily just slip in the shadows and kind of watch, kind of not be present, not be drawing any attention. Very.
Go ahead and make a stealth check. And then we'll get to Kazator and Ciliax here in just a minute.
16.
16. All right. You hide in the shadows here to the best of your ability.
Light my pipe. Just blend into the wall.
Mm-hmm. The other guy tosses in another silver.
I'll toss on silver.
All right. So we're up to 6 silver in the pot. Go ahead, roll your d12s. They got really quiet. We'll find a different music track. Right. Let's see. I'll be patient with me. I'm still learning Sirenscape.
It's all good.
Yeah.
And the
It's
boss.
fun.
It's bright.
Did you say how many people were in here? I missed that.
It's about half full. Probably
No.
20-ish.
20, okay.
Oh, come on.
So just out of curiosity, what are the chances of trying to cheat?
How would you like to cheat?
Fastball special. Just to slightly manipulate one of my die, whether it be by.
That would be sleight of hand.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and make a sleight of hand check versus their insight.
All right. Not bad. Sleight of hand. Oh, there it is. I'm not proficient in that. But it was a good roll. I'll take it. 22.
22. You manage to shift your dice just a little bit. So go ahead and take it and turn it one direction, just slightly.
All right.
They look at their hands. They're sort of And the guy who went first last time, I'll raise again. Throws another 2 silver into the middle.
Do I think he's confident in his die?
Make an insight check.
Insight, I finally get to do something I'm good at.
I think I've seen Pirates too. Screwed.
27.
27. He seems pretty confident, yeah.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. CO2 silver. And I'll raise you another 2.
Right. He looks at you. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy looks between the 2 of y'all. Oh, hell. Throws his dice down. Folds.
So what are we up to now?
See if this person calls or not. That's going to determine what you're up to.
Fair.
Because that's 12. If he calls, it'll be at 14.
Not even at 2 gold yet.
He looks at you. I'll call that. Tosses it in.
So is it just me and him now, or is there
Just
one
the
other
2
guy?
of y'all.
Okay.
Go ahead and take your d6.
All right. Do I risk one more sleight of hand check? No, I think I'm gonna leave it.
All right. Go ahead and add up your total.
All right.
He reveals his dice. 18, 11, 3.
Dang.
It's a 32. What do you got?
I reveal my dice as an 18, a 1, and a 5.
So that is a 24.
That one hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Should have made the chance of that sleight of hand. That's all right. It's only a couple silver.
He grins, swipes the money off the table. Again.
I think I'll try my luck at the big boys table.
Suit yourself. He goes
And I'll
back.
head over to the big game.
Starts gambling with his other friends. While he was doing that and you were getting the drinks, you were hiding, just keeping an eye on everything. Make a perception check.
This isn't going to go well.
That would pretty well.
I'll take a 25.
25. Most of the bars seems to be fairly legit. The gambling seems pretty above board. You catch a couple people attempting to cheat. Most of them get caught by the other people they're playing with.
Is that person trying to cheat?
The one, not that you saw. You did see Val's. with your 25, you did see that. You also notice the bar keeper. Every so often he'll do a round, and every time he does a round, the very first person he goes to is always the same.
Who is this first person?
Sitting in the corner, he is a half-orc, fairly bulky, fairly muscular. Looks like he probably works the shipyards. Doesn't look terribly well-to-do. Fairly simple clothing. He's got himself tucked back into the shadows. And as you're looking throughout the room, you realize he's got probably the best viewpoint in this whole joint. He can see almost everything that happens from his seat. With the 25, after Doran pays for the drinks, you do notice the barkeeper fairly quickly goes over, and as he refills the guy's drink, he leans down and he whispers something, and then he moves on.
I'll wait half a second and see what they do, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
I'll probably play off of that a little bit.
Kazator and Celiax, what are y'all doing?
I was planning to watch the big game.
Mm-hmm. It seems... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just see, kind of like they were saying, get an idea of how the game was functioning and just kind of keep an eye on the players, see if they're playing above board or not.
Right.
Who tends to...
The game that they're playing is not the same as the game that as you glance over, you saw Val be pulled into. You don't have a whole lot of experience with gambling or sort of back alley games or anything like that. Your background's more of learning and as a traveling sage almost, right? So this is not something that you'd be familiar with, but you hear with your perception, you hear words being thrown around about a hydra's head, and the hydra's growing and it'll get ya. Watch it, he'll get ya. It seems to be some sort of competition where they roll multiple dice and a variety of different shapes, and as the game progresses, things change based on who rolls what.
Okay.
So it ends up being they finish the round that they're on. There's slowly the gamers sort of fold or back away, and the winner ends up two fairly raucous cheers taking the pot. And by this point, it looks to be fairly significant. There's probably between 20, 25 gold that this one guy won off of this game.
How many people are at the big table?
There are 5 people playing.
And one of them is this half-orc individual?
No, the half-orc is not playing. The half-orc is set sort of back in a corner where he can see the rest of the room.
Oh, okay.
This was the Iron Tooth.
Looking at the head table, is there anybody there who seems import, or at least like knows the town, at least someone who would be um easy to talk to.
Make a. I'll let you pick either perception or insight based on if you're just looking over them or if you're actually evaluating
Going with
their
insight.
body language and how they're carrying themselves.
Ooh, that's still not good. I think that's only a 13. Yeah, 13.
That's okay. You're not able to pick out if there's necessarily a particular leader, or anyone who seems more in charge. You do sort of light on, one of the guys who has been standing around watching, who seems fairly jovial, fairly at ease, sort of ribbing a couple of the other guys, but not attached to anyone as a particular friend.
But he's not actually sitting at the table.
Not actually sitting at the table, just watching. You do notice that there seems to be just as much gambling happening in the people watching as in the people at the table.
Okay. I want to go to the jovial fellow.
Right.
And I don't know if I specified this, but by putting the shield on my back, I'm kind of putting it like cloak over it. So it's not, okay.
A little bit hidden.
Yeah.
If you're still in your armor, you clank pretty good.
Oh no,
when
I
you
look
walk.
like I'm walking, but my armor is just black split mail, so there's nothing distinctive about it.
Right.
So I'll walk up to jovial individual.
Human, blonde, shoulder length hair, currently tied back. Greets you with a smile. Welcome, friends. I haven't
Hello.
seen you around before.
No, new to town. Yep, exactly. Oh, so I'm gonna be honest here. Some of these games I'm unfamiliar with. You seem to know your way around here. You seem to know some people.
I know some people. You are new to town.
I am very new to town, yes.
Well, let me educate you.
Education's always good.
This here is Hydra's head.
Ooh.
You see, you start with your lowest dice. You roll it. Everybody takes the number in the middle. The lowest person levels up. Goal is to get 11 or higher on your dice. Obviously, you only get that once you get up to higher levels. You're 12-sided and 20-sided, even if you get lucky. Game can last for a while. And there's a certain element of acceptable altering of the odds if you don't get caught.
Of course. Now, looking at this table, who you believe is favored to win?
You see County over there?
Mm-hmm.
Best cheater here. Hardly ever gets caught. Him altering the odds is a good chance. And you notice he does gesture at the guy who did just win and brought the pot all to himself. Javal, over across him, they don't play together often. Best friends till they're at the gambling table. Talk about a rivalry. But decent odds if you want to jump in and try and chance your luck.
Given my read of the table, do I agree with what he's saying, or do I think I'm getting a different idea?
You're looking and you're seeing the people are, by this point in the evening, a couple mugs in. This would not necessarily be a bad time for a newbie. But there's definitely some people counting on others' inebriation in order to make their move.
For who he's saying is favored to win, am I like watching and going, yeah, he's got it, he's accurate, or am I reading that someone else may be more favored?
No, he's telling you true.
Okay.
It seems to match up with what you've seen.
Okay.
So, Yex, what you say we jump in and try our hand?
Oh, well, I'm not the one for gambling as much. By all means, you go right ahead. I think I may stay here with my new friend and observe how it is played.
Has Val made it to the table yet, or is he still at his little table while this is going on?
He's probably still playing his game while this is happening.
Okay, cool.
What'd you say the name of the human was?
The human? You didn't ask.
I thought he said his name.
Did he? I don't think so, because he introduced Kenneth, who is sort of the favorite to win, and Javal.
Javal. Okay, I was thinking of Jay. Okay. Well, friend. My friends call me Sully.
Orlin. Nice to
Orlin.
meet you.
Wonderful to meet you.
This is gonna go so bad, so fast.
It's okay, so you're sitting down at the table?
Yeah, if there's a spot opened up after that game.
It seems they're willing to make room if you'd like to come in. Most people seem to be taking a little bit of a break, but Kenneth and Javal are still sitting and sort of eyeing each other out, sort of. Gonna go again.
Since
got
this
the
was
guts.
kind of Albert's operation, I'm just going to try to kind of make eye contact with him and look at the table as it ask if it's a good idea.
I mean,
if I see him, I know he's hiding.
He attempts to hide. You see where he has placed himself.
that wasn't good.
It-
It wasn't a good high.
He was not super intensely hiding this time.
Sure.
Um,
I'm just going to look at the table and raise my eyebrows.
I'll just do a slight nod and a shoulder shrug, kind of just if you want to.
Okay, I'll jump in.
All right. You go ahead, you jump in, and you are staying with.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand next to him and say, well, I'm not one for gambling. My friend here, though, it's terrible. What if we put a small amount of money, your favorite, my favorite?
Oh, you make friends quickly.
I don't roll the dice, but necessarily. I'd like to talk to others and see.
Sure. How rich you got? Or how rich are you?
I can get by all right in this town.
Fair. We'll say 4 gold. Javal wins. Extra 2 if Canev gets caught cheating at least once.
Seems agreeable.
Alright. So they go ahead and they start playing.
Zoran looks like a little boy at the back of the class.
Have I mean,
You have
this
gotten the
bar's
drinks
not
at
that
this
big.
point.
I've made
Yeah,
it around
you've gotten the
everybody.
drinks at this point. They've had their conversations.
Cool. and
You
I've
see
handed
he's
him
in the middle of a game. Halberd seems to have disappeared somewhere. You don't know where he went. You see Sully
Extra for
talking
you.
to
Yeah, more for me.
Blonde Human, and you see Kazator fixing to get himself a seat at the table.
As you walk over with the ale, I'm going to grab 2 of them from you and hand one to my new friend. Say, thank you. Your timing is always impeccable.
Ah, you got friends.
It's always
Nice
good to have
meet
friends.
ya. I'm Orlin.
Doran.
Nice to meet you, Doran. Hey,
Yeah,
did I see you over at the Nimble Bird?
perhaps.
Ah, Lita's an old friend.
No dwarves could
He
blush
just
like
doesn't
that.
say anything. He doesn't have anything to say.
Orlin takes a big sip of his drink, turns back to Solyax. Kazator, go ahead, take your d4. Go ahead and roll it.
As I'm rolling this, how are other people concealing it? Just kind of keeping a hand behind it, or are they rolling into something?
No, they're not concealing at all. They're rolling into the middle of the table.
Oh, okay. Cool. 4.
All right. You got a 4?
Yeah.
I want to keep the eye on old boy and his cheating abilities.
All right. Are you watching both of them, or careful?
Good.
No dying. Or are you focusing on one?
Okay.
The one that was trying to get caught cheating for the 2.
Kenneth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't remember if you said Kenneth or the other one. Okay. So yeah, I'll be watching him.
Okay. So Kazator rolled 4.
Yes.
Kenneth got 2, and Javal got a 1. So Javal goes up to a d6.
All right.
You're still rolling
So
a
all
4?
these rolls are into the middle?
Relatively. As artfully as you can.
Okay. Interesting. I'm not gonna watch my dice when I roll. I just want to watch the other players.
Okay. Go ahead and roll. As you roll, what'd you get?
4.
4?
Now you're rolling
Rolling
good.
high is bad. Yeah.
4 is a bad. Is okay. It's interesting because Kenneth also got a 4, and Javal got a 2.
So nobody moves up.
No, Javal got the lowest. He's moving up to the D8.
So it's just the
So is
lowest.
that Jabal's
It's the
second
lowest
move up?
number. Javal is winning right now, as well as you can judge it.
He's moved up
Make
twice.
a perception check. And we'll go ahead and we'll have Kenneth do one also.
28.
Kenneth noticed nothing.
Ooh.
You do notice as Javal is rolling, there does seem to be a certain flick of the wrist. There's a certain art to how he's actually rolling it. You might want to keep a close eye on it this time and see if you can narrow something down.
Okay.
Right. Go ahead and roll again.
All right. 4. Okay, I'm switching dice.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Need your bad die.
Javal got an 8. Kenneth got his 2, so Kenneth goes up to the D6. You stay at the D4, Javal stays at the D8.
And I'm not seeing
It should
anything
be easy for me
odd.
to be low man now.
Not on Kenneth. No.
And he's the one that always said for the 2 to get caught.
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't notice anything.
Make another perception check.
Not bad. 26.
You did, in fact, notice there seems to be a little a twist to his hand as he's appearing to roll the dice. Javal is artfully dropping it and aiming for a specific spot on the table. It didn't seem to work as well this time. It didn't function as well as he wanted it to. But there's something he's doing. There's some sleight of hand he's making to try and get the result he wanted. Go ahead and roll again.
Okay. 2.
Kenneth got a 1. Javal got a 4. Kenneth goes up to the D8. Javal stays at D8. You're at D4. Go ahead and roll again. Uh,
3.
Excellent. Javal also got a 3. Because y'all are tied, you both move up. Javal goes up to the D10. You go up to the D6.
Did I notice anything?
Make a perception check one more time.
16.
16. You didn't notice anything in particular this time.
Okay.
You got a little excited with glancing down at your dice and seeing how well you were advancing. And roll.
2.
You advance. They both got 5s. They stay where they're at. You go up to the D8.
Okay.
And Solyx, make a perception check.
Can I try to replicate what I saw the other guy doing?
Certainly.
Don't mess up Caroline.
Roll a sleight of hand this time.
Okay.
Do you want to? If you want to, you can.
10.
10. You didn't notice anything in particular about Kenneth.
Sleight of hand is 22.
All right. You do go ahead and get to control your dice this time. So
Okay.
roll it, but decide what you roll. And these two will also roll.
Oh, okay. 1.
Javal also rolled a 1. Kenneth got a 2.
Ooh.
Okay.
You and Javal both go up. He's at the D12. You're at the D10. Kenneth is at D8.
Okay.
Remember, the goal is to get an 11.
Right. So So who has the 312?
Javal.
Okay, and he's the one that I have seen controlling his dice.
Yes, artfully.
Can I go up and watch the guy who's been artfully controlling the dice? Like, go watch the table.
Sure, you can come out of your stealth and approach. Go ahead and make a perception check.
28.
28. All right. You do notice there's a specific spot at the table that he's aiming at, and the way he moves his hand to drop it there, you don't see exactly what it is about that spot, but he's definitely cheating somehow.
When he gets ready to roll, I'd like to go up behind him and just bump him a little bit accidentally.
Okay. As he goes ahead and he goes to roll, go ahead.
Oh, 1.
You go ahead and you go up. Kenneth got an 8, and as Javal was bumped, his dice falls. It falls out of the spot. He gets a 9, so nothing happens there. You go ahead and you go up a size.
Okay.
What are you up to now?
D12.
All right. Roll again.
Okay. 2.
Kenneth got a 3. Javal, who seemed a little bit startled, was looking around trying to figure out what was going on behind him, got another 10.
Okay.
So you go up to a d20.
Okay, I'm going to try to control it again.
Remember, the goal is to get 11 or higher.
Oh, or higher.
11
I thought
or
it was
higher.
just 11. Never mind. We'll take our chance.
All right.
Is 11 the magic number?
11 is... Question. Did I say what the buy-in for the game was?
No.
Sorry, my bad. 5 gold.
Okay.
So if you get this, you'll get 15 out of the pot.
Did I see anybody raising or trying to make it more interesting last game?
There was a little bit of jostling, mostly from the people who left. There were 2 other players who had gotten up and walked away, seemingly disappointed that they hadn't managed to make the odds go in their favor. This seems to be more focused on how well you can actually cheat.
Okay. I'm going to look at Javal and say, you seem to have pretty good hands there, friend. Any interest in upping the ante?
Certainly. How much?
Say another 10 gold.
Ooh, you're a brave one. Sort of glances around. Deal. He takes 10 gold, throws it in. Kind of looks at him, is like, seriously? Takes 10 gold out of his own pocket, sort of out of the pile that had been on the table, moves it back into the middle.
All right.
Real fast. Does there seem to be, just looking at the boss of this establishment, or the important person, anything that would match or label anybody else to this person? Matching symbols, similar clothes, colors, anything like the people at the table who he's playing with. They appear to kind of be connected in any way to the person up top.
The one thing you notice about him, he's not playing with anyone. He's sitting a little bit separate, and there's sort of this buffer zone around him where people aren't really intruding. They're giving him a little bit of space. He's dressed similarly to some of the others. Fairly typical, like dock worker from what you've seen. Salt spray sort of dried, encrusted into his boots and his pants. Calluses, a couple of scars. It's interesting. He's got a couple of tattoos that you hadn't really noted previously. Now that you're looking for any particularly distinguishing marks, what was your perception again?
Earlier? That was when I rolled on the table, it was a 28. When I rolled to scan the room, it was a 25.
Right. Since you're looking particularly for identifying features or marks or things to match into other people, make one more perception check for me.
And I'll walk by Val and just ask if he might have any words of guidance.
Am I still in the middle of the game, or?
No, by this point you've probably finished your game.
All right. Well, looking up and seeing Casey, I'm actually going to sit back down with my crew, and
I'm doing this very covertly.
Hover's walking by, I'm just going to reach out my hand and go, cast guidance and just be like, it's okay, buddy. She knows what you're doing. But it
Could mean anything. So roll your d20 and add a d4.
Ooh.
Favorable win. I'll take that. 18 plus 4 is 22 plus 9 is 31.
That was leaning for a 5, and that came back
Right.
solid for you.
was like,
How about odds in your favor? Yes, absolutely.
Couldn't roll for crap earlier though.
You do notice that sort of under the edge of his shirt, just under the neckline, peeking through it when he shifts and moves a little bit, you see a dark tattoo shaped like a knife. A fairly simple blade, almost right over his heart, or pointed towards his heart.
Would I recognize this?
No, you would not. With this, you would also see he is very focused on Kazator. His body is sort of oriented at that table, and his eyes are watching very closely.
I'll walk up to the bar, pull out of gold while the game is going on.
Mm-hmm.
The man in the corner at the table.
He's a patron,
Yeah, what's his name?
Go ask him.
I will, but I asked you first.
And I ain't got nothing to say to that.
And
You
got
want
a
to talk
good
to him,
drink?
you go ask him.
What's his drink?
Just an ale.
Pull out of gold.
His eyes sort of
a
light on it.
nice one.
Hmm?
Make it a damn nice one.
Your funeral, sure.
Or yours?
Doubt that.
We'll see.
So he turns and he gets the drink ready. You taking it to him, or shall I deliver it for you?
Well, I don't need an underling to deliver something for me. Set the
Plunks
gold
it down
down.
on the table. He takes the gold. Takes the gold, pockets it, turns away.
I'm gonna start cross directly in front of his vision with Kasator.
His
Lock
eyes
eyes.
flash up to meet yours.
I walk forward and put down a nail.
He takes it from you. We'll get back to you at the table here in just a minute. Kazator, finishing out your game real quick.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your d20. You two are watching the table?
That was with
Orlin?
Orlin.
Alright. Haven't managed to actually catch Kenneth cheating yet.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and roll.
I'm gonna send Jojo down my leg over to my opponent and just bite him on the ankle as he rolls.
Which one? Kenneth or Javal?
Javal.
Alright.
I'm going with the D12. Yeah.
Go ahead and roll.
Okay.
I love it when the dice work in the favor of the story. Looks like he's rolling with disadvantage and has to take the lower. And that's okay, because that's exactly the same. Javal, you see him sort of jump and jerk right as the dice are leaving his hands. It lands and it skitters across the table a little bit. He looks down and tries to sort of stomp and kick. He's going to make an unarmed attack against Jojo. Which is a natural 20. So he stomps down on Jojo.
Jojo gone.
Yeah, how many hit points does Jojo have?
Pretty sure one is a lizard.
Yeah, Jojo just disappears into a poof of smoke.
That could have been the best thing that happened right there.
Yeah, right. You look down, there's just nothing there.
Javal got a 3.
Holding back tears, I'm like, you all right, friend?
Oh. What's his face? Kanev got a 5. What do you get?
3.
3. All right.
Weren't you gonna try your sleight of hand?
You and
2d20.
no. You and what's his face, Javal, because you tied for lowest, you both go up, so he matches you at D20.
Shoot.
I'm double checking the rolls and making sure that this
No,
is.
so even with JoJo Biden, he got a 3.
Yeah, he wanted an 11 or a 12. That's
Right.
what he was trying to go for.
Yeah.
And so the dice just skittered out of his hand, landed on the 3. Da-da-da-da-dum. Right. So y'all both are at D20s.
Okay.
Orlin leans over to Sully and says, "This is where it gets interesting.
I'm noticing.
If they both roll an 11 or higher on this round, they go into a duel.
Pistols. 3 Pisces.
They each roll their dice 3 times. Highest total score takes the pot. Let's see how this goes.
Alright, right as he rolls, I want to use thaumaturgy to make all the lamp lights just flare.
All right. So he's going to be rolling at sort of disadvantage again. Go ahead and roll, Kazator.
Well, I used up all my good numbers.
Apparently.
4.
Kanev got a 3. Javal got a 10. Kanev goes up from the D8 to the D10. And y'all are rolling again.
Come on.
Ready? And roll.
I shouldn't have said.
Natural 1.
Javal got a 19. And Kanev got a 4. So Kanev is out. He sort of kicks the table, smashes his hand down, stands up, and I'm gonna get another ale. Walks away, sort of storming away. Javal grins at you and, you're like my good luck coupon. Here. And he tosses 5 gold your way. Stick around.
I catch it and say, luck's got nothing to do with it.
He sits down, looks around. No. Could play again, just the 2 of us. Could get a couple of your friends interested if you want, or we can get anybody else at the table. He sort of raises his voice. Most people are waving him down, occupied with their own things. There are a couple that look a little interested, but willing to let anyone else take a seat if they want.
I'll look over at Val.
I'm gonna stand up, walk over. I'm gonna try this and see if it works. I'm gonna sit down, I guess, at old boy's seat that left. Drop a bag of gold on the table and turn my eyes pitch black.
You can certainly try. Make a wisdom? Yeah.
Or I can just cast thaumaturgy.
Or you can just do thaumaturgy if you're not actually trying to make contact with Tana. Just do thaumaturgy and give the effect.
Yeah, I don't know that I trust her yet. So yeah, I'm gonna.
This is all very new to you still.
Yeah, I'm gonna use thaumaturgy to make my just my eyes seem solid black.
All right. As you walk over, excuse me, Javal sort of glances at you as you approach and what the just starts cursing up a storm and he's your buddy. Oh man, you're crazier than I am.
And at that point, I'll sit down. Just that just wicked smile that I know that I know that you know that something's going on here, and then I'll let the eyes fade to normal.
Make an intimidation check.
Ah, shoot!
You keep doing these charisma things, forgetting you have terrible charisma.
Oh, what the heck? Oh, that's not bad though.
You're not core anymore.
I know, but I wish I was. That would have been nice. 16.
16. Okay.
Or it would have been
Yeah,
all
he
over this
seems
place.
a little unsettled. There's a mild tremor that starts to take in his hands. So we'll go ahead. The rules are explained to you.
Mm-hmm.
Started to D4 and roll.
I lost control. Yeah. Hold on.
Don't die over there.
2,
1.
3. Level up.
Level 6.
Pause real quick.
Okay.
Retcon a little bit. You tossed gold on the table.
Yes.
How much?
Whatever I saw them tossing in.
Okay.
So if it's a 5 buy-in, I'll toss 5 in.
Typical buy-in has been 5.
Okay.
You tossed 5 in also, yes?
Yep.
Right, and so does he. So 15 gold in the pot. If you will keep track of that, and then we'll jump to your conversation here in just a minute or 2. Rolling again. You're at D6. We're at D4s. That's a 4.
3.
2.
Go up to your D8. With the tremor in his hand, Javal seems unable to sort of hit that spot. He's, just unsettled.
And I'm not even looking at my die except for when we all look down to see what we rolled. I'm just keeping my eyes locked on him.
All right. And again, roll.
2.
5.
4. Go up to your D6. And again. When the dice support the storytelling, it's just fine. 4.
7.
All right, so he goes up. And roll.
That's better.
3.
1.
1.
You see Javal take a deep breath and start steadying himself. We'll pause here for just a moment. Albert, over at the table. You take the ale. You see this figure still focused mostly on Kazator, but as you approach, he sort of switches his glance to you, sort of irritated almost, like you've interrupted him.
If I interrupt.
Depends on why you're here.
That's fair. I'm gonna set the ale down. I heard it was your drink of choice from your
Tonight.
clumsy bartender. Gives an oath.
He has his purpose. Ale is fine tonight, and is there something you're interested in?
There's something you're interested in. I'm curious. First, what's your name, my friend? They call me Guardian.
Guardian. Call me Malik.
Does that name ring a bell to you?
Yeah, but I don't know how much is.
It sounds familiar, but I also don't know which universe it's from. It's a
Right.
A lot of wires getting crossed.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if it's
The unfortunate side
Does that
effects of
name
being nerds.
ring a bell from our adventures and where we come from.
Make a history check,
Please make it good.
or glance through your notes,
Do what?
or glance through your notes, or look. Like, I'm not necessarily going to tell y'all if this is something that you haven't written down.
I should.
You're truly vast, who knows?
Does it matter if any of the rest of us know since we're not there, or are we just saying that if we've written it down, then Howard remembers?
No, this hasn't come up before. If you remember, I'll go ahead and let you help Halberd and just say he remembered. I'll reward y'all for taking good notes.
In that
What was
case,
the name again then?
Malik. Because it's definitely come up
My old notebook is completely gone. I have no idea where it went.
Yes, I know.
That's what we get for moving stuff around.
Got lost during the break.
That's the hard part because I'm missing my cards and I'm missing some of my notes.
You say Malik or Merrick?
Malik.
I think Merrick's the name. That's Merrick.
Yeah, Merrick, because that's what I was thinking of.
That's
Merrick
the
is
sorcerer
the sorcerer
kid.
brother
Yeah.
from the Wolf World.
Yeah, I'm thinking Merrick. Merrick is the name.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking. Is Merrick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the very old. Yeah, the brother.
Any relation to Merrick?
Yeah, Malik, I think is new.
Your name strikes me as familiar. Almost like something from days gone by.
Continue talking. I'll let you know.
I'm curious.
Don't think we've ever met.
Well, then maybe that is an unfortunate truth. But at least that has changed now. Is this your place?
I don't own it.
But you run it.
I wouldn't go quite that far.
What's his facial expression reading?
Make an insight check.
23.
23.
23.
He seems confident, smug, still half focused on Kator.
What's your interest in me, boy?
He's made a bit of a fuss in certain circles.
Made a bit of a fuss.
That Jordan face is great.
Oh, crap.
What circles are we talking about?
Let's just say I know a few who have an interest in further discussion with him.
Busted.
He is a rather intriguing fellow, is he not?
Certainly.
Those boards at the table, are they yours?
Nah,
They seemed a bit clumsy.
a bit.
Just a tad. Thank you. I think
You said you were missing stuff, so.
none of this
Sorry.
is it.
All right. Anyway.
You seem like someone who's rather connected here. And I'm seeking something you might be able to help me out with.
Say more, I represent a certain connection here.
Maybe
If
that's
you're
your
seeking-
tattoo?
Hmm?
Your tattoo?
Got several.
You wear that one a little bit proudly.
You could say that. You don't? Your armor is covered. He sort of gestures. What about you?
Pull out the sleeve, and there's just this long gash and scars. I don't need tattoos. I've had other people try to leave their mark on me.
I see that. Kind of surprised you don't want to claim it for yourself. Canvas like that.
Do you think I'd try to do this to myself intentionally?
Reforge it. Make it your own. It's not for everyone. He sort of leans back, shifts his position to sort of show off some of his other art.
I mean, it is impressive. Left arm, where'd you get that one?
Up the coast a bit. Nice fellow. Magic with the ink.
Magic with the ink. That's. Hope it's not infected. Doesn't look too good. I'm gonna smile.
He smiles
No,
back. He said you were looking for something.
I am. I'm looking for information.
Well, Mike could help with that.
I think you might be able to. First of all, I'm curious, before I ask for information, who exactly is in charge of this place, if you're not the owner?
He gestures with his head towards the barkeeper. Yellen owns it. We just
Oh, Lordy.
provide a certain
Mistake?
protection.
From what?
It'd be awful if this place caught fire. All this alcohol could go up like that.
I mean, potentially, but I believe there's good groups of people, brotherhoods around who might be able to help repair if something were to happen. What was his facial reaction to the brotherhood?
Is sort of tightening. Actually, roll an insight check. You can roll with advantage.
Yes.
Because you were focused so much, like you were
23.
waiting for that.
Now we're to a 23.
Nice. There's a tightening to his eyes, a sort of. You get the sense that the Brotherhood he views almost like trespassers. Like they're coming into his turf. His body language sort of stiffens, his eyes narrow. But just very briefly. It's a flash over his face. And then he's back to how he was before. We'll go ahead and we'll pause there for a moment. We'll flash back to the game.
Well, I would actually like to resolve my misbet with I can't remember his name. Orlin. I
Right.
can't remember his name. So, saying that, I have lost. Well, guess I can't win everything, can we?
Fair not. Of course, I didn't exactly catch him either. Tell you what, call it the 4 gold instead of the 6.
That works. What do you say? Not sure where my dwarf friend went, but I know my glass is empty. So he slid to the bar and get a drink real quick.
He forgot to look down.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's where you like tug on it.
Bam. Well, wait, hold on. Hit. There we go.
You start tugging
There's a
on
loud
his
sort
tail.
of clang on his armor.
Oh, there you are.
Orlin sort of looks over at you. Hi, I could use another drink.
Excellent. This one's on me. And
Sure.
Walk over to the bar.
Wait, what are you paid for lunch? Just say you're with me.
Oh, well, that works as well. Thank you. Go to the bar and get the drinks squared away.
Okay.
So, curious, I'm looking around here and seeing a fellow who appears not to be gambling. What's his story?
You gesture over, or you, there are several people who aren't currently gambling.
Just to the one that Halbert has obviously drawn attention to.
Malik. He's a businessman here in town.
Ooh. Business of interest.
To some. I doubt it's up your alley. You're too, forward.
Of course. That's why I have friends. Curious though. Is he of a brotherly nature?
More the type to walk the edge.
Beauty of the edge is sometimes you can get hurt. Sometimes you can dance.
Ah. Fascinating. You're not wrong. Thank you for the drink,
Of course.
friend. He sort of... His smile gets a bit stiff. He takes his drink and starts drinking, and it's about half gone by the time he stops. You're, that's what I expected. In town for a particular errand?
Oh, just passing through at this point. Figured I'd head on south. Came up from Grimhold, going south, seeing what's down there.
Right, of course you would be. And the news from Grimhold?
Lots of people wanting jobs for the artisan tests.
Right. Yeah, that recent,
Didn't get accepted, but you know, can't get everything we want.
Of course not. It's a real shame if they wouldn't take your kind self there.
Happens.
Well, we we do depend on your kindness here. You realize we're quite grateful.
Yes, I've noticed. It's good. It's good to be nice to those who are kind.
You're quite right. Here, have another drink. This one's on me.
Oh, well, thank you, Fred.
We'll go ahead and we'll pause there for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the game real quick. We'll see if we can't resolve this. You're on
10.
10. Kazator's on
6.
6. And Javal is on 8. So go ahead and roll. 7.
3.
2.
2 goes up to 12. You go ahead and stay.
I had a problem figuring out which one was which. I'm sorry.
Only a little bit of judgment here.
A little bit.
All
Before we roll, I'm going to take out my bag of gold and clunk it on the table. Shall we make this a little more fun?
I'm certainly up for making things interesting. What about you, friend?
Why not?
I'll pull 20 gold out. Kum, 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 kum.
See, eyes get a bit big. Interesting indeed. Fair. Let's do it. He takes 20 gold, matches you.
Okay.
So there's now, what's that up to?
75.
75? Yes. Thank you, thank you. 75 gold on the table. Go ahead and roll.
What do we have to get?
11 or higher.
11 or higher.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Boom!
Nice.
What'd you get, Kizator?
4.
All right, you would have gone up. Javal had gotten an 8. He would have stayed. 11 wins the game.
I'm going to go for telepathic contact with Javal.
All right.
And I'll say next time you want to cheat at a game, maybe pick a different game.
You see him, his eyes get really big. He freezes for just a minute as he hears this. And he scoots away from the table, stands up, and just starts cursing as he starts walking up to the bar. He kind of, he ends up walking right behind Solyx, cursing and stomping the whole way. Slams a coin down on the bar. Another.
And just to add a little twist to the knife, I'll say Death watches more closely than you think. And if he turns around, I'll let my eyes go black again.
He doesn't turn. He just freezes. Catches a very little bit of the conversation you're having with Orlin.
I'm gonna move your 20 gold back to you. Or 25, sorry.
And you take the other 50.
Oh god.
Good roll. Good roll.
We'll go ahead, jump back to Halberd at the booth.
So you have no love for the Brotherhood.
They make business complicated.
How so? For someone like you and your crew.
Wouldn't go around calling them mine. But they, there's a certain etiquette to be followed in these situations. Seems like you might get along with the Brotherhood just fine. Your friend ignores it just as they do.
Which friend?
The one you step in to defend. Walk
Has he
between
been
me and him.
up to something? Just gonna smile a little bit. And also look very curious, because I actually am not entirely sure if I know what's going on. I think I might, but 'cause I don't think I was here for that day.
I don't think you were. Are you being like genuinely honest in your, or are you trying to hide the fact that you don't actually know?
No, it's
I'm trying to judge whether there's such a thing as passive deception to go against his insight roll there, or whether this is something that would even come into play.
I mean, he can if he wants to. I
So you're
not really.
You're genuinely being
Kind of just this point of, I mean, I started off with saying, oh no, what's he gotten himself into
right.
again? And so just kind of following that motif.
Your friends stepping into waters. Don't think he knows quite how deep they go.
I am curious. It sounds like you've got connections, and I'm looking for something which regular folks around here might not be able to have.
Now, if you're looking to acquire some goods, I might be a service.
I always like to try to follow proper channels.
You walk the edge?
When I have to. Sometimes I set the edge.
Huh.
When I have to.
Interesting. What sort of goods are you looking for?
Toxins.
No source? Anything in particular?
What do you have?
A variety. You let me know what you're looking for. I'll let you know how much it'll take to acquire it for you.
Poison and paralyzing.
Poison will be easy. Straight damage is fine. Paralyzing? All told, probably get you 15 gold. Interested?
I'm very interested. I'm also curious though. Tell me what you know about the Brotherhood.
Like I said, they make business complicated.
In what way? That's vague. I need specifics.
The services they provide make people less interested in using ours.
I've heard something about favors. Tell me about favors.
That's what they deal in, mostly.
How do they collect? What type of favors do they collect?
Mostly they don't. You're in debt to them, you wear their token. You know every day till come to call. One day till want something.
Where are they helping out?
Anyone they can. They collect their debts, accumulate them. They're generous when they need to be. Still, makes people less interested in good old-fashioned coin.
Just the honest means of business.
There's something solidly comforting about the weight of good metal in your pocket. People don't want to part with it. So when you can deal with a favor and the possibility of a future, something you don't have to worry about in the now, you see why that's pleasant for some folk.
Yeah. I know about metal in the pocket. I'm just curious if you might know anything about metal and souls. Ever worry that sometimes maybe metal is forged to someone's soul instead of just being held in their pockets?
Now, there's a certain... You're not talking about the golden cog.
All right. What's his body language so I know how to play this?
A little confused and a little curious. You talk about forging metal to souls, and it sort of seems to ring a bell with him. There's a sort of lightening in his body posture, but sort of a. But that's not quite right. That doesn't quite match up.
Might be what I'm talking about.
There is a clan, a family, runs a couple of shops. They build constructs, fancy little clockwork devices. When they sell them, they bind them to a person. That person, speaks a word, and these things go off and do a task. And when that person, for whatever reason, passes on, the golden cog comes back and collects. It's the deal. It's the part of the agreement when they sell an item in the first place. And expensive and shiny they are. My family makes them based out of white brand. And I just opened a shop up in Grimhold, 8-10 years ago.
Have you heard of Metal and Soul ripping things apart as they go?
Make a persuasion check. Or come here, Dice Tower. That's what I get for
question check.
Yeah, I mean it might just be general charisma, but I'll go ahead and let
I'm
you.
gonna just pull out a gold and slide it across the table as I ask.
He looks at it.
It's honest. This metal isn't bound to your soul.
Of course not. Did hear tell of some horror last couple of months over on the other side of the Palisades. Awful machines showing up, ripping things apart and leaving. Ain't nobody really been able to figure out where they go to or what they do except destroy.
They're going nowhere now, friend.
I
said they're going nowhere now, friend.
Yeah, you say that. Don't know how much to trust.
That's why you're still in business. Toxins and poisons. And I'm also curious if you have one more bit of information. Golden Cog, do they owe any favors to the Brotherhood that you know of?
I don't track that.
That's fair.
If you want, you can always go ask them. Like I said, Grimhold, maybe Whitebrand, if you want to go that far.
When can I get the toxins from you?
Tomorrow. Come here, or I'll deliver them to you for an extra 2 gold. Your choice.
How much did you say it was?
15.
How much? In the quantity?
Pretty quickly, I can get you probably 5 doses of the typical poison and 2 or 3 maybe of the paralysis.
Throw on an extra one. 18 gold with the delivery.
Extra dose? Don't know if I'll be able to get it.
Do what you can.
I'll do what I can.
I'll pay you the extra when you get there. You meet me, I'll give you the money, not before.
Deal.
Name of the bar over there.
Nimblebird.
Nimblebird.
That one.
Nimblebird. Before the sun sets tomorrow.
Deal.
We'll meet you over there. You're gonna stand up, acknowledge him, head nod, and start walking away.
Alright.
Walk up to the owner.
Up at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that in just a minute. Soliux.
Hmm.
Orlin has been very accommodating.
Right, naturally.
Is there anything else you wanted to?
Of course, you apparently no far more about this town than I do. Never knew. I heard there's a man who can help out those in need. I believe his name is Reuben. Heard anything about him?
Name doesn't ring a bell.
Oh, well. Guess we can't put him off. I was just hoping I could find out a little bit more about him. You know, sometimes we have problems, and if someone's willing to help out, it's always nice.
If you're needing help, well, I mean, certainly we'll all do what we can to assist. Reuben, I'll keep an eye out for sure.
Oh, I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, welcome. You know, does he work the docks? Is he in the shops?
Haven't heard. I just heard he comes to town. He's not actually in town.
Oh, you're looking for a traveler, an adventurer?
Quite possibly something along that line.
I mean, we get a fair number passing through. You know how recent he was.
Oh, I believe 3 weeks back, I think is the last time he was in town. I hear he's expected soon, though.
I mean, I just got off the ship day before yesterday. There's not a lot of.
Fair enough.
If you need someone here, like who lives here and resident, I can certainly help out. But I'm so sorry, I'm not up to date on all.
It's all right. I'll keep my eyes open.
I got a buddy. He might be able to assist. Let me talk to him, and I'll meet you here tomorrow. Any information I can get you.
If you hear anything, just leave word at the Nimble Bird to me.
Right, and Sully?
Yes.
Sully, at the Nimble Bird. Very well. He sort of takes a step back, and he looks like he's not sure whether to put his hand out to shake your hand or to sort of almost give a half bow.
I'll extend a very friendly hand. Of course.
The Nimble Bird, then.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank
Best of
you.
luck tonight.
Thank you. Yes. And you also in all your endeavors.
Well, thank you.
All right. We'll go ahead. Is there anything else anybody wants to do here?
Pack up all the gold. Give Kit's tour back his.
I was just gonna say, I was curious with my 18 passive if I noticed this half orc watching me at all from the corner.
Probably not as much while you were playing. You were pretty focused on the game itself. As you start packing up and putting your things away, you notice Halbert's talking to him. You probably didn't notice while he was actively watching you.
Okay. Does it seem while Halbert's talking to him like he's focused on Halbert, or does he keep looking at me?
Make a perception check.
21.
21. He's still occasionally glancing in your direction.
Okay.
So you do remark that.
Okay. I assume it's to do with the game.
That's a fair assumption.
At the barkeep, I'm going to put another 4 silver on the table. The guy over there at the booth. If you would take this over to him after we're gone, or as we're walking out, ask him, don't read too much into my friend. Don't worry about him. He'll be alright, and he won't cause any more trouble. I'm going to pull out a gold, set it on the table, and ask, alright, how long have you been having to pay?
Certainly. I'll take care of that errand for you. And I don't know what you're talking about. He smiles.
I'll leave the gold on the table, and I'll head on out.
He picks it up. As you head on out, you turn. By the time you sort of glance back, it's already tucked away in a pocket. Anything else while we're here at the bar?
So seeing everybody else walk out, I'm gonna kind of clap a hand on Casator's shoulder as we're walking out the door. I'm just gonna turn back to the room and just to shout, anyone else want to dance with the devil tonight? And let thaumaturgy just blow through the room as we back out the door as quickly as possible.
Alright, there is a clattering as the windows fly open. A loud noise sort of shakes the room. You get all of the attention on your exit. People are having remarked on your presence as you are preparing to leave, and you head on out.
Your core is showing.
At this point, we will go ahead and we will take our break.
Woo!
Woo! That was fun, guys.
Yeah.
Not what I anticipated, but lots of fun.
I'm glad your luck was a lot better than mine was, Jake.
Dude, that was like legitimately.
Your
I
rolls
was
were on
tense.
point.
Yep.
That was amazing.
Alright, we will go ahead. We'll be back here in about 15 minutes. We're going to do a tech reset during the break. So be patient. Tune back in when we're done, and we'll see you here shortly. Bye, guys.
Weapons Boogaloo.
And welcome back. So, we have had our encounter. Oh my gosh.
Danger close.
Doran can
Danger
still
close.
tie.
I'm expecting it at this point.
Well, you know, if you really want to roll a new character, we can do that.
Yeah, 16.
So we'll go ahead.
Cameron doesn't even know what I'm talking about.
Y'all are on your way back to the Nimble Bird in the evening. It's getting fairly late at this point, close to midnight. You've had your encounter. None of y'all drank a whole lot, so I'm not going to have y'all necessarily roll the Constitution saving throw for your fortitude. So you managed to make your way successfully back towards the Nimble Bird without too many detours. You find your way to your beds, or
Are we all staying at the Nimble Bird, or
the bed that you're staying in.
I'm at the woods?
You're heading back to the woods. Silyax, are you at the bird, or are you heading back to the temple?
Should probably go back to the temple.
Okay. You head back that way.
As we are leaving, I'm going to reach into my bag and pull out a nice little stone and go, Doran! I'm good at a lot of things. You're good at some things. This belonged to Cora, who then gave it to me. And I'm feeling that perhaps it may help you better than me. So I'm going to give you this, so that she can tune to it overnight.
I don't know
And
what
you
we're
get,
about.
you get the luck stone.
The lucky stone.
Yeah, the lucky stone. So,
Smile.
all your
It's a good one.
savings throws go up by 1.
Cool. So maybe you won't get possessed next time.
That's
Be
the goal.
Great.
That's the goal. So enjoy that.
I have a thing.
Um,
Lucky Rock.
So you just have to attune to it.
I do that. Do I do that?
Overnight.
So we reduce all my
Keep in
savings throws to
contact
1.
with it overnight. Keep it on your person.
I just tuck it under my pillow and dream of not getting possessed by a horrible monster.
I now don't have super amazing saving throws. Just mostly amazing.
I would say.
He's so humble. I just, you know.
You head back to the Nimble Bird.
Yes.
Lita does meet you at the door.
Yes.
She holds out her hand, invites you to come with her again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Diggity.
You walk away.
Hi.
Hi. Silyax is headed back to to the temple. Kazutor, are you taking a room here at the Bird, or are you heading to the temple?
I'll go with Soyex.
Alright, back to the temple. Halbert,
Not
back
on
to the
forest.
woods.
Yep, in the
Alright.
forest.
And Val.
Before we separate, of course, Solyex,
Yes.
I'm gonna take off the pouch that has all the gold. Would you mind hanging on to this for me?
I can do that. And how much is in here?
Just
50?
370.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, when I said a sack of gold,
Yep, we can.
Val's got a big sack of. Anyway, yeah. I'm sorry, I couldn't stop it.
It's a matter of
370?
perspective.
Yes, 370.
Okay then.
Just in case things, some of our friends we made this evening decide they would like their money back.
No.
I feel that would be safer with you than with me.
What?
Alright. And Val, are you staying at the Bird, or are you heading to?
Yeah, I'll stay at the Bird.
Alright. So you follow Lita and Doran, and you head upstairs to the guest rooms. Find your bed for the night. Everybody takes their long rest. Val, my dreams are slightly disturbed overnight. Generally uneasy.
Oh yeah.
I was so hoping. It did follow.
You're a
the
jerk!
sphere. Yes.
Solex doesn't know where those dreams came from. Legitimately, he does not have any idea.
Okay, that's fair. I will give you that. Jerk.
But you manage to get the benefits of a full rest. You wake up refreshed the next morning.
Just a little bit of a full rest.
Oh, yay. Yay. Needed that so hard.
Reset your spells, mate.
Yeah, I do need to choose my spells for the day.
Yeah, you do.
Go ahead and prepare your spells.
Over the night
Ignore
time,
me.
I was working on little bugaboo.
Playing with it.
Still playing with it.
Make an intelligence check for me.
I don't have that.
Nope.
You have being snarky with the DM. No, that is not intelligence.
No, it's a 10. I told you.
Okay.
I have less intelligence on my roll than my person.
I mean, I got an 8, homie. You're probably good.
You go ahead, you fiddle with it, and you play with it, and it's just eluding you. Seems like it'll take some time.
Question of logistics.
Yes.
Gygax is at the temple, right? Like we got boarding for him.
We'll assume, yes, that you got boarding for
No,
your
my
horse.
big question here was he was still alive. He hadn't died since I last summoned him.
Right.
Okay, yeah. I was just trying to remember we're gonna good.
Does he just last indefinitely unless he gets killed?
And then I have to bring him up.
That's cool.
I have a horse.
Yeah.
That's the question because I don't want to prepare that spell if I don't have to. So if he's still existing, then
He's still on this plane.
perfect.
I would like to go and kill this horse.
But only if it's half dragon.
Your horse was a dragon.
Before we sleep, Warren, I'll take an hour to resummon JoJo, and I'll go ahead and stick with Lizard for now, and I'll spend the rest of the time working on the walking staff.
You take some time to resummon JoJo. You start your ritual. You have your ingredients prepared, and right as you're getting ready to finish, there's a poof of smoke, and nothing happens.
Oh no.
What did you do, Richard?
You do see that the ingredients were not consumed. You set up the ritual just like you've always done. There seems to be some resistance.
So
I decided to give him space for a day, and I'll work on this.
Okay.
do I need to make lizard armor for him?
That's a glove with you cut the hole whole lot of bigger.
I didn't say it'd be hard to make.
That's amazing.
So I will, we'll go over that when we get a chance. I'll go ahead and sit down with you, and we'll discuss your future options. An apology might be needed.
Okay.
Dude,
He's gonna have to hold the chameleon and be like, buddy, I'm sorry. I didn't.
have you seen Tangled? It's about to go like that.
Anyway, anything else for the evening or moving on into the next morning?
Next morning.
I'm immediately gonna go find Solix and get my coal back.
There you go.
Well, thank you.
Fairly quiet night passes. Waking up the next morning, the sun has already risen. There are happy little birdies. You do see relatively threatening clouds off in the distance. So it looks like there might be a front moving in the next couple of days. The storm front coming through.
Man, everybody's threatening us.
But the weather is warm. There's a nice breeze coming up from the south. What do y'all want to do with the day?
Not die.
Good plan. I like that plan.
In the morning, I will find the boy.
Xantir?
Yes, I'll find him and Sanctum. Quick question. Did Reuben say what time he would be by today?
You take a little bit of time to find Xantir, and he is, you find him sort of in the midst of morning meditations with Vanera and Sarai. There are a couple other small groups scattered throughout the temple, in the courtyard, in the main sort of temple area. I'm losing the word for it at the moment, where the main services take place.
Sanctuary.
Yeah, the sanctuary, thank you. And spread throughout the various public areas here at the temple. But you pull him out of the, you pull him aside during this time. He didn't say, today's the day, he could be here anytime, I guess.
Where were we supposed to meet him?
Here. He said he would come here.
Okay, thank you. Return to your studies and I would stay within the temple grounds for a day while we have discussed it with him.
Very well. And you see him turn, and he's moving a bit stiffly this morning, as though he's a bit sore.
Right, and I will go and sort of wait at the entrance, I guess, just sort of the external there, just
The gate outside the courtyard.
Just waiting for my friends to show up, and also keeping a lookout for oh boy.
Okay.
Did we maybe talk about where we were gonna meet up for the day?
Nope. Okay. I'm just gonna wait up here for my.
You
You guys know where
I was
I'm
gonna
at.
say. Actually, once I find you, Solix.
Yes. Oh, here's your gold.
Thank you. I was thinking that it might be a good idea for us to find maybe some divine guidance as to our next steps.
Yes. That's guidance is always a good thing to be locating your next ability. Is that? I don't know. Because you're talking about. Right. Sorry. Well, I do know I intend on staying here at the temple for the day while awaiting Reuben's approach. So.
Did the boy say where he was supposed to meet him?
Here.
Okay.
So I will. He didn't know what time, so I will spend the day here until Reuben arrives.
Is there a place nearby I can go to commune with the deities?
For yours, I would imagine. I mean, you know her better than I.
True, but in a
as far
town that is.
As far as I know, I'm not sure of. Would I know of any like locations or spots that would we haven't discovered yet that would be more fitting for him?
You know that this region, this continent, essentially, Bahamut is the primary deity worshipped.
Right.
There are not many other deities who have temples here.
Would it be at least like, because I mean she's the moon, but is there like a place that would pop in mind that it's like at least somewhat twilight, maybe like somewhere in the woods or something where he could like, not necessarily like an actual place of worship, but somewhere where he could feel more connected to her. That we have
Specifically, a place that won't piss off Bahamut.
right, yeah, any one of those, you know. Whatever you say about.
Make a religion check. Sure.
I got my virtue.
That's a one.
No, nothing comes immediately to mind.
Okay. I mean, in reality, I feel like as long as you're not here, you're fine.
Well, I was actually thinking about the possibility of, and with your aid, contacting Bahamut himself.
You would want to do that.
His power is more, what is the word, prevalent on this world,
True.
especially in this region.
In what regards were you attempting to ascertain?
Essentially, I'm thinking where should we focus our attention next? We've made the decision to meet with Reuben.
Yes.
Might it behoove us to where to go next? Should we my feelings, my personal feelings may overcome the efficiency of our goals. My personal feeling is we make straight for Liren and rescue her before we move on. However, I don't feel comfortable leaving the two journals unattended or possibly attended by creatures that should not have access to that power.
I feel that we may be better off seeking our own, spreading out, as it were, finding as many different avenues as we can. I can talk to Bahamut here with help of Sarai, and if you will speak to Sayanine, I feel like two gods' opinions is better than one.
I will give it my best.
Well,
yeah, actually, I'll go head towards the direction Halvard went in the woods.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know exactly where you are, but I'm going to head that direction, so maybe I trip over you on the way.
So you start heading out to the woods. Halbert, are you trying to conceal yourself?
No, I was on my way back.
Okay, so I'd say it's pretty reasonable for y'all to meet up.
Alright. I'll have a
question about that. And maybe I should have asked her to said it first. With Nightbane at night, I was going to have him out, but since I didn't say that, still in the necklace because he would have been on guard with me.
I'm okay if you retcon that and say you had him out overnight with you.
Okay. Is that food, friend?
Chew and then
Yeah.
follow.
Where was I going with this? Oh, we Salix is going to wait in the temple for Reuven. Get with Sarai to see if we can get any divine guidance as to where to go next. I'm heading out into the woods a bit to commune with Sayanine and see if there's any insight she may give us.
Do you need me present, or what's your desire?
Not so much a desire, just an information. You know, woods are your territory. Is there a good place for me to go?
I'll point him over to where I was staying, where there's a nice shade, but you can still see stars in the sky. I mean, stars at night, sky during the day.
Fair enough. And I'll see you at the temple once I return.
Be safe.
And then I'm gonna go cast divination.
Okay. What are you offering as your offering?
I'm going to pull out.
And how much incense do you have left?
1 second. Do. Says I have two. I had 2 blocks, and I gave one to. After I casted the divination, I had 2 blocks. I gave one to him, so I have 1 block left.
Okay, good deal.
I don't know exactly how that translates, but
We'll say we'll go ahead and we'll use the block of incense. And then what is your offering?
I'm going to take my alms box and take 25 gold pieces, place them in the alms box, and along with oh no, actually that's all I had. Never mind.
Yep. A literal offering.
A literal offering.
Okay.
Bird out of sky.
Right.
It has to be
It's
worth
gotta
a
be-
lot. It's gonna be expensive bird.
Well, incense and a sacrificial offering appropriate to your religion, together worth at least 25 gold.
My block of incense doesn't have a cost to it, so I was like, it's not worth the poop.
I hope
So
that's not your
I
incense.
figured the alms box, so that's what I'm going for.
Okay.
Then I'll sit and do my alms, and remembering the spell that I've only cast once before.
You ask a single question concerning a specific goal, event, or activity to occur within 7 days. So something in the next 7 days is what you have to ask about. And it's got to be specific.
It's gotta be very specific.
And then I offer a truthful reply. It might be a short phrase, a cryptic rhyme, or an omen.
Okay. Should we pursue rescuing Liren immediately, or head to collect the journals first?
You perform your ritual. You have your prayer, your area set up, and you have your sacrifice, your offering set before you. There's a flash of light. The offering is consumed. You feel something bounce off the side of your skull. You look up. Some rodent, a squirrel or something in the tree, has thrown this acorn that has hit your head and has fallen to the ground.
Get up. You owe me a new acorn.
Squeak.
I'm not well versed in the woodland creatures.
The ritual is complete.
That was not helpful.
So you got 7 days, right?
That's a goal. I'm counting that as a goal.
Yeah, because
that you're at least going to take steps towards. In the
right,
next
because
7
we were gonna
days.
after Reuven, we were either heading towards here or we were heading towards here. And I got an acorn bounced off my skull. I was thinking that, but I was like, no, that's too easy.
Hmm?
Which direction did the acorn come from? Like north, southeast.
Make a survival check.
Technically, it came from up.
That's fair. 15 plus 5, modified 20.
Modified 20?
Yeah, I've got plus 5. Wisdom, man.
In a generally east direction.
Do I get the sense that this is like basically I just messed up, or do I really get that the acorn was an omen?
Make a religion check. Or insight. I'll let you pick either of those.
Hang on. Which one's better?
Actually, I would let you take insight at disadvantage. Because you're trying to have insight on a god who is giving you an omen. Trying to figure out what they're actually saying.
I was going to say, religion makes more sense. 23?
23? It doesn't seem as though Sainin was displeased with you. Although you do remember you have already asked a similar question.
Well, 24 hours ago, you asked the same question.
Yes, but I asked that question before I had the information about Lyrid. So.
Just because you didn't know it doesn't mean it wasn't known.
Get that. Oh, I don't like that answer.
So while he's figuring that out, I will go find Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Sarai.
Sarai.
Where did that name even come from? Sarai.
Next Sarai and Vanera.
Yeah. So I will go find Sarai. And
Actually, generally east.
excuse me, Sarai.
Oh no, I'm talking about last time.
Yes.
Celiax,
yes.
Question. Curious about attempting to divine our next course of path.
Certainly.
For myself and my group. Naturally, that's not something that is within my wheelhouse, but if there's something that you have prepared today, then perhaps you might aid me in this.
Unfortunately, I was not guided to prepare that during my meditation this morning.
Of course.
You may speak with Vanera, though.
That does make it easier then, doesn't it?
Celiax, it's incredible, the wisdom this little girl has.
It's almost like it's supernatural.
Almost.
Well, where is she this morning? I will go speak with her.
Last I saw, she was spending time with Zant here. He was reading to her.
Excellent, thank you. We'll go find her.
Anytime, Celiax.
And I will go find Tina.
Alright.
I think by this point I'm awake.
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Everyone else is doing stuff.
Everyone else is doing stuff.
Not after your night last night.
He's the only one with
no,
69
I mean,
hit points.
Like, we're having breakfast this morning. Hold on, wait. Oh yeah, I'm helpful in the kitchen. Woohoo!
Was that an intelligence or
sleight of hand?
I just wanted to hire him in a survival.
I just wanted to,
survival? I think that's what that was.
Well, I rolled a 15 anyway. So,
You were quite helpful in the kitchen.
yay!
Yeah. Whenever you would like to jump in to the activities of the day, you are welcome to do so.
So after a lovely breakfast and a kiss on the cheek, I go and find people.
All right.
Probably to the temple, because knowing creepy man is going to show up, I'm concerned about the boy.
That is fair. So you go ahead and you start heading up to the temple.
Yes.
Morning meditations have been pretty well complete at this point. Celiax is finding Vanera. Xantir and Vanera have made their way out into the front courtyard. Not too far from the gates, but sort of off of the main path from the gates through the courtyard. That's so they can keep an eye on things and have a decent view of the street outside.
Yeah. Vanera, if I might have a moment.
Arbiter. Yes.
I was wondering if you might help me with something this morning.
If I can.
Well, you see, my friends and I are about to have to set off the next day or so, and we're curious about what should be our next course of action.
I think you know the options set before you. You just have to make a decision. It's not clear. There's something, but that's confusing.
Doesn't want to hold our hands.
You're not wrong. There are many paths that stretch before you.
Yes. I was wondering if you might inquire on my behalf as to the condition of a friend of mine. She serves a different deity, but I'd like to make sure she's safe. If you would ask Bahamut about the well-being of Liren.
You see a brief moment where she squeezes Xantir's hand, and then he lets go, and her eyes lock on yours, and they flash gold. Danger abounds. Beware. Then there's another flash. She blinks. Her eyes go distant again, with a grayer tinge than there used to be in them. But that didn't make any sense either. I'm sorry, that was really confusing.
Sometimes knowledge can be confusing to one and helpful to another. We do not all know the same things. It was useful to me.
I'm glad I can help.
Thank you. And I will go and resume my position at the front of the temple.
Alright. You resume your watch. You see Doran about this point making his way up the street.
Doran, how are you feeling this morning?
Pretty good.
It's good. Excellent. In talking with Xantir, not sure what time our brotherhood friend will arrive today, but he's supposed to meet him here, so decided I'm going to wait here and intercept him when he shows up. So the best course of action as for the moment.
Considering we've already taken the book, I'm a bit concerned about, repercussions perhaps.
I thought as well.
I'd like to stick close to the boy and the girl, just in case.
They are inside right now. You may go find them.
Alright.
I will be out here. I believe our other friends are out taking care of other morning business.
Right on. I don't think we'll be going too far.
Excellent.
Speaking of, Kazator, what are you doing this morning?
I'm just inside the temple within eyeshot of Casator. I'm sorry, that would make sense. Within eyeshot of Soliex, so I can join him when Reuben gets here, and I'm just working on the staff enchantment.
Okay. Alright. Halberd, have you made your way to the temple?
While I was making my way there, I'd like to go through the market and start collecting travelers' food, white bread, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And also just kind of pick the brains of the people, the stories of the merchants who've been there, see maybe if there have been any more sightings of creatures, maybe bigger than what they were before, that just seem out of place that don't match the countryside.
Make a perception or investigation. If you're just passing through and just listening, use perception. If you're wanting to be more active and sort of seeing what rumors you can find and actively searching them out, roll investigation.
How about a 13 on perception?
13. You hear a couple of rumors. You hear that Grimhold has put out a call for soldiers in an attempt to clear out some sort of garrison or fortress or something that's been overrun slightly north of them. You hear there's been some violence of some sort to the east, south, because I have to look at the compass. Southwest of Cedar Grove, towards the land between the lakes. And you hear there's been another updated bulletin put out for several more missing children.
But so it sounds like they're growing in intensity a lot more than what they were from my first, like, a few weeks ago.
You're hearing less, or at least nothing new, nothing you hadn't noted before about sort of otherworldly creatures coming through. Most of the stories you've heard now are kind of repeats or similar enough. My cousin's best friend's sister's, fiance said that sort of thing.
I'd also like to buy kind of like a saddle pack, and put that on Nightvan with some of the rations and food for a journey. So what would I be looking at for?
For food, there are various qualities you can get. You can get some super cheap sort of travel bread for about 5 copper. You can get stuff that's a little bit nicer, a little bit more palatable, for about 2 silver. Or you can get some really nice, like, packed meals, well preserved, well balanced, for about 8 silver each. And these are for a whole day. So a day's worth would be, for the really nice stuff, would be about 8 silver.
Cool. Yep. I'm sorry.
You're good. Math it out. How many are you wanting to get just for you or for the whole group?
For the group. What would it be? 5?
5.
That's not bad. And then you said how much for, like, not the low grade, but
Sort of
step
middle of
above,
the road?
middle?
2 silver. So a gold per day, pretty much to feed the group on fairly modest means.
You also know I have the ability to make food and water because you travel with me for several weeks.
This is true.
I'll buy.
It's not very tasty,
I'll buy
but it works.
2. So
It's
it's going to be
nutritional.
4 gold worth of the nice stuff, and then because that'll be 40 silver, right? For,
Yes.
Yep. So 1 full meal, and then I'll buy another 5 gold worth of regular food, just medium grade.
Okay.
So 9 gold, and then guessing another gold for the saddles because they're just
For the
rough
bags, yeah.
leather. Cool. And I'll start making my way to the temple.
All right. You go ahead, you stock up, you get things done. And by this point, it's about mid-morning. And shortly after Halbert arrives, there's a clamor in the streets. There is a wagon being escorted by 6 figures on horseback. In the lead is an older man, middle-aged, 50s, 60s, something like that, human. He's got his hair pulled back in a very sort of slick ponytail. There's a white leathery cape, very rich garments, and a wide sort of collar of office with a 5-pointed star in bright and shining silver on his chest.
When he's going through town, like headed to the temple?
Going through town, headed towards the temple. There are him in the lead, there's the wagon, and there are what looks like 6 figures escorting that.
Figures, like, armor, just travelers? What do they appear to be?
It takes a little bit for them to get close enough to you to figure that out. There are four, excuse me, armed and armored figures, and two that are in slightly simpler garb.
Just out of curiosity, have I made it back yet, time-wise, or?
Yeah, we'll say you're back by this point.
Okay, so seeing them approach, once they get within earshot, I will hail them.
Hail and well met.
Well met indeed. You seem important. Are you with one known as Reuben?
I am. I come looking for a youth named Xantir.
Yes.
I bear gifts.
I'm sure you do.
Please, do bring him to me.
I'm afraid your services in that regard are no longer required.
I do beg your pardon.
Oh, well, you were bringing him resources that he had asked about, diamonds and gold and that such, correct?
Some funds, yes. We were to make a transaction, but I bring gifts also for his family and friends and those who, endeavor to aid us.
Well, it does appear that your services are no longer needed because the things that he was needing those funds for have been fulfilled.
I am pleased to hear it. However, we were promised an artifact.
Right. Well, I can't speak for the artifact itself, as it is not in my possession, but I'll have you know it's no longer in his possession.
This is ill news. Do partake of our gift as a sign of good favor, and allow me to speak to Xantir himself.
Actually, I would rather have worked with you. You see, I am unfamiliar with these territories here, and
I can tell.
very curious about you and the gifts that you so willingly offer.
Is generosity now a sin?
Oh, absolutely not. Generosity is a wonderful thing, but I must say it is a rare thing. Most do not just go around giving away of such bountiful gifts so freely.
Does that not make it even more special to be the recipient, if
To
it
be
is
honest,
so rare?
For a child, free gifts are wonderful. For a man, they arise questions.
Shield. War axe. Right.
Fair.
And I am curious, because you see, as a man, I have questions.
Fortunately, my business is not with you. I
Well,
will not ask again. Send Xantir out, or I shall come in for him.
I'm afraid you cannot set foot in that temple, as you are not welcome there. You see, that is my temple, and my gods, and I am the voice of my god. And so therefore, you are not allowed in that temple. But actually, I would like to have words with you right here, in front of it.
Make an intimidation check.
Dope. Ooh, it's my house.
26.
Ooh. Not my house, you won't. I don't know where everyone else is, but I'm kind of like standing at the door.
I imagine you're, about 10
no,
paces
I'm behind
so.
you, but like I'm at the door. I'm just kind of.
Oh, just for clarification, the shield is back. That was just for last night.
I figured that was probably the case. I did not think you would willingly go into a confrontation,
No.
knowing it was coming.
It was just for last night because of where we're at.
You see him bite his tongue as he stares at you, but he doesn't push it. He dismounts. You see his companions start to spread out on the street. Huge conversation.
Of course.
Come and speak, if you will.
Well, You see, I'm curious about an organization that willingly gives us things, and yet maintains a well-guarded fortress not so far from here. What is someone who is so generous need walls?
Do not walls protect us? Your temple here has walls.
Of course. But we also are not keen to willfully give out, as we have known enemies. What are your enemies?
Good question.
This is gonna be funny when it turns out we just pissed off the Fantasy Salvation Army.
What can I do? Throw clothes at you?
Fantasy clothes.
Our enemies are those who make themselves our enemies.
Suppose do people do that often?
Rarely.
So you don't have many enemies then?
You're rather among a small number.
I see.
I think I've nonchalantly drawn this shield at this point.
Well, what gifts did you have for Xantir? Perhaps I can give them to him for you.
I will not surrender anything to your care.
Not to my care. How about my friend? He's right there. He's quite capable at handling things.
Bring Xantia forward for me to speak with, and you may have the gifts that I have brought.
You see, I believe Xantir really does not have need or want of your gifts.
That is not for you to judge.
Perhaps, but I've made the judgment nonetheless.
He gave his bond. Let him be the one to bear the consequence for breaking it.
You see, as long as he's in that temple, he's under my protection. So I will bear what consequences you may have.
As you wish. And at this point, I need you to roll initiative. Actually,
I was gonna say, are we all? Because I think we're all.
Yeah, y'all are all on the same page. Go ahead.
Are we rolling initiative at the start of the next session?
We'll roll at the start of next session.
Woo! Woo!
We'll go ahead and we'll stop just a few minutes early because it's not gonna take, like, this would take way longer than 15 minutes.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Okay.
I don't like this guy. He's mean.
I mean, the minute he was like, bring out the boy, I was like,
no, absolutely not.
It's like, Soyex, as a rule, is not a jerk. But you just pushed his button.
You told him what to do in his house.
Not my house, mama.
I've tried that. It didn't go.
Oh, that was close.
I know where they are right
That
now.
would hurt. I got
Can I ask where they are?
They're nearby. They were staying in the courtyard to
Yeah.
be close,
Yeah.
but they're out of sight.
Okay.
I just want to point this out. One of the tenets of devotion
Oh,
is aid others, protect the weak, and punish those who threaten them.
Oh, snap.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
you are doing exactly what you should be. This is amazing.
That's fun. I was like, as soon as he pulled up, I was ready to cast Zone of Truth. And be like, all right, when you say go, I'll cast Zone of Truth, and he has to tell you the truth. Then he started giving you orders. I was like, oh, this guy's going to die. So Slaves is going to breathe fire.
Oh, that was a good one.
We don't like him. He's going to get squished.
Next week can't get here soon enough.
Right.
There's gonna be some
Why do we have to
punishment
wait a
being
week?
handed out.
We can go another hour. It's okay.
No, I mean we could.
No,
What do you
actually,
think,
I actually
audience?
wouldn't
What do
mind
you
that.
want to do?
All right, guys.
I can hear you.
Oh, that was good.
Tune in next week.
Yeah, thanks y'all for joining us. Go ahead and tune in next week. We're gonna start with some combat.
Sticky hand.
Oh, man.
I was pretty sure Lauren was going to come across that table and you.
Sticky hand.
Oh, if that sticks around here,
Sticky hand.
Doran gonna die. Not really. I wouldn't.
He might anyway.
I wouldn't kill Doran just because you irritated
Yeah,
me.
just kill me.
Right?
You like Doran, we don't like you.
Sticky hand.
Well, nah, we're good.
I appreciate you being around.
But thanks y'all for joining us. Tune in next week and go ahead and be kind to each other. Seriously. Y'all have an excellent week. Bye.
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 Sticky hand.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh, that was so much.
I probably won't be.